everybody, and welcome to this evening's Map Battle Madness. My name is Guy, and I have the wonderful privilege of being one of the hosts tonight on this amazing event. This coming together of two titans within the DungeonFog community, the reigning champion and the current challenger, and it's going to be very interesting to see what these two give us tonight. Of course, a whole bunch of stuff randomly rolled and randomly added every 30 minutes whilst they are busy trying to make this map. And having been in the hot seat myself many years ago, I can tell you it is intense. It's super intense. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be going on this evening, not just people drawing maps. You folks are going to have an opportunity to walk away with some amazing raffle prizes. We've got 5 to give away throughout the course of the evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world. We've got 5 to give away. 3 of them are year-long licenses to DungeonFog, and 2 of them are the latest book that I wrote in conjunction with my wonderful co-host. See the segue that I did there? See the link that I did? My wonderful co-host, of course, being the one and only Till. How you doing? Welcome to the stream.
Hi, I'm super happy to be here. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Did you notice that depending on whether or not Ink is going to win today, this is all Battle Madness contestants that we have here on the stream tonight, which means that eventually, if we continue that tradition, we're going to need a lot more of frames.
Yes, we will need to. Yes. Hello, I was the reigning champion in 1982. I don't know why I'm here, but I have to.
Yeah, but we can have something like a jury panel where a lot of people are going to add
there you go. You have the judges, and we can hold up scorecards 3, 5.
Yeah, exactly.
How well do you think they responded to challenge number 1? Oh, well, Till only assigned a 4. Yeah, boo. Anyway. Oh, well, one can dream. One can dream. Till, we've got 2 amazing artists in the wings waiting to start the challenge. They're both very stressed, I'm sure. The viewers here, all you wonderful folks joining us, will be watching them over the next 3 hours, creating these maps that are randomly generated. Now, you've been in the seat twice, once as
That's
champion
true.
and then once as not champion.
Yes.
To use the
And I can tell you this is the first time I'm really relaxed about this stream.
It is nicer to host than it is to be in it.
It definitely is.
Till now, one of the things that I was mentioning was the amazing raffles that are going to happen throughout the course of this evening. 5 in total. 3 of them are the year licenses to DungeonFog, and 2 of them are the PDF of something that I wrote and you wrote. What is that exactly?
So, you and I, we banged our head together. It was a year ago. And we've created the Creator's Guide to Epic Locations, which is, I think, a quite good compendium on how to create epic locations. It also comes with, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 18 locations that we like. It's called, also it has the subtitle Nature, which means it's outdoor locations primarily, and we created them. We thought about the right methodology to create them, what is necessary to actually create those locations, which is, we're talking about story building, tension building, the right way to kind of create those. We also did variations of each location in different settings, like in the Underdark or in the Feywild or in the Hells. So you can use the book just to look at what has been created there, to use that to inspire your worlds. But we also tried to make it as comprehensible as possible so that you can quickly roll up your own locations. So there's a lot of stuff that you can think about. We have a quick sheet that gives you the right phrasing, nice adjectives that come along with those locations that are kind of associated to those environments, encounters that might be there, story hooks that might inspire you. So you can use all those things to get the inspiration. And in the last third of the book, we then actually unpack how we created those locations and what were the kind of the concepts, the methodology behind it to do this. If you're an avid map maker, of course, there's a lot of how do you create the right maps for those locations, but also if you are a beginning or an experienced storyteller and you want to know what concepts are, for example, transpiring through a swamp environment or an Arctic shelf environment, what's the narrative implications of those environments, then you can look at those as well. So that's what we did, and it is being ready to be shipped soon. So it's
on ships.
It's on the ships.
On ships.
But the PDFs have already been released, which means that we can already hand out PDFs, and I am super happy that we can give out 2 copies today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Enough of us. Enough about all of the wonderful things that you can win this evening. There's something else that you also have power over, those of you that are watching, and that is to potentially veto something that gets randomly added. Now, we're going to talk a little bit later on about the random stuff. As someone in chat said, this is not a video game. This is real life. Anyway, sorry, I was going off a completely different tangent there. Let's get in the contestants that are going to be fighting tonight, bringing in the title, defending his throne. We have the stupendously talented Lord God. And challenging him, we have the impetuous, the impervious, the imperial Incubus. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Total silence. Everyone's super focused and super concentrated. So Lord God kicked me off the throne last year, which makes him the acting fogmaster, as the community has decided on the title. And Incubus has stepped up to challenge for the crown, take away this title, and earn the new. It was a belt, I think. Earn the new championship belt for the becoming the new fogmaster. Which means...
And the badge. There's a badge, isn't there?
Yes, of course, there's a badge. Yeah, there is a badge.
Coveted badge.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. So, Incubus, the first question I have to you is, if you won the title, how would you solve world hunger?
I don't see the correlation.
You see, there we go. Right, that's right, because we're making maps tonight. We're going to make absolutely some fantastic maps. So I've got a few little questions quickly for each of you. And we're going to start with you, Lord God. Do you remember the map that got you the title last year?
No, not really, no.
Okay,
yeah, of course.
We have it right here. There it is. That's the map that won you the title last year. A double-layered map, a city level and the prison level underneath it. And Till, what were the parameters of that map? You've got them handy, don't you?
Yes, I have them. Give me a second. I just need to... I wrote them down so that we can actually bring them back up. So, for those of you who haven't watched the previous map battles, it's basically, at the beginning, we roll on specific function, location, species, and alignment. And then throughout the evening, every 30 minutes, we add random challenges. So the map that you're looking at had to be a city location with the function of a prison, in the alignment of an insane mind, created by hive beings. So that was the challenge, which, if you think about it, already sounds quite terrible to do. I remember quite vividly because I also had to do this map, and I was completely crapping my pants, to be honest, when I heard that setup. And then later out throughout the game, we discovered that this map must include something cute, a puzzle, a mad scientist, a different plane leading into this environment, and pirates. Yarr!
I mean, but when you look at the map, you can look around and going, yes, yes, yes. There's where he's included that. Yes, yes, they're the pirates. The pirates, I have to say, was a masterstroke. If you'll pardon the pun, having that little river in your city and then going, well, that's where the pirates are. They came onto the river. It was like, it was brilliant. It was brilliant because when you were building the map, I was looking at going, where the hell are you going to put pirates? And then you put pirates in there. So now this was before the time of the pathing tools as they currently are, Till. Is that correct?
No, I think the pathing tools were in there already. No.
There's a path in the map. So
Yeah, there's a path in the map. There are several
But
paths
they
in the
weren't
map.
as advanced as they were now, are they?
The draw path wasn't available back then. There were
Yeah.
shapes, I believe, that people would use as maps, but I don't believe the pathing tool that you can freehand was back
Yeah,
then.
maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
I-
it's going to be interesting to see what you can do this year,
Yeah,
'cause you've got
because-
all the tools available to you.
Yeah, because basically the pathing tool quite enhanced and grew over time. So there's a lot more you can do today than we could do back then. I've also, if you want to look at the map in its full beauty, I've linked it in the chat, so you can grab the map, clone it, and do a deep dive into everything if you want to. Although I would ask you to do that later, because right now we need your full attention to count the sweat drops that are already running down our contestants.
Okay, right. So, Incubus, what inspired you to challenge Lord God?
I mean, his maps are incredible, and it just looked like a lot of fun. And I just wanted to be a part of this and also take his badge from him.
He said in the nicest and most politeful way possible, I will crush you! And yes, in a lovely way. Well, I think you're right. This is an absolute
Yeah.
blast.
Also, I want to add in, Incubus is, I think you've won, or you've been highlighted at least several times in our community spotlights. So you are someone who actually is capable of taking the title. The question now is, will you endure the stress, the panic, and all the excitement that we are going to throw at you? Or is Lord God, because of the experience that he has, keeping the cools? And we will see.
We shall see. We shall see. All right, so let's get on with it. Let's figure out exactly what is going to happen. So there we have a timer that you shouldn't have seen, so pretend that you didn't. And we're going to start all the way with the rules. Let's set up the rules first, if you mind. Till, the rules. Take us
Yes.
through the rules.
Okay. So because of the way that the tool works, the way that the battlemap editor works, we actually had to limit the possibilities. So you're not allowed to clone existing maps out of the community hub. It would be quite cheap if you would go into the hub, search for the map result, clone it, and say, hey, I got it. You're also not allowed to use blueprints. So you cannot upload a blueprinted map that you quickly found somewhere and say, okay, I'm going to recreate that map. To keep it fair between contestants, we're not allowing customly uploaded assets or textures, which means that also for the sake of tonight's battle, you're also not allowed to use marketplace assets. So just the one that are part of the content subscription, and also again, because the tools would be quite powerful if you would use them, you're not allowed to use pre-built room or prop templates. So if you create something like a prop combination, you have to create it on scratch, even though you might have the existing template already. What we do allow is, depending on whether or not it's not a requirement, you do not have to, but you can use up to 3 levels on your map. as we have seen in last year's Map Battle Madness, Lord God, and I think I did the same thing. We created 2 separate levels, a city level and a prison level, so that's completely fine. You can, and I would also recommend it from my experience, use labels to explain specific map elements. This is especially important when you think about the fact that once you have finished the map, you will hand it to me. I will then next Tuesday make it public together with a voting, so people can decide for the next couple of days, can decide which is the winner. We're not going to see the winner tonight. The winner will be announced in our next Mapping It Out on November the 28th. And we will then learn who the community has voted as winner. So if you want to give the community a little push, explain what's on the map and use labels for that. You might also use tokens if you want to set up a specific encounter on the map, so that's fine. But again, those things are allowed, but not required.
All right.
Sounds good.
And I think the rules are pretty clear. Although I do find that if you go to the community hub, as wonderful as the community hub is with its 10,000 shared maps, and you type in insane hive prison built underneath the city with incursions from another plane being attacked by pirates, and you actually get a map other than Lord God's map, I'd be impressed. I'd be really impressed.
I'd be pretty impressed too.
Right. Also, the Incubus fan club is currently watching. We've got Talon and Bubco Phonics, I think, and a few others in there. Apparently the Incubus's Discord server have done their best to help prepare you for the stress. Apparently. Although you're just looking in shock and horror going, well, the cattle prods, but I thought that was private. Who knows what they've been doing to be there. But salt levels max says go Incubus, go. All right. Right, so with the rules out of the way, let's go on to the very first table. And once again, we will randomly roll, but you as the audience do have the power to go, we really hate this, let's change it. We then have the power to go, we really like it, we're keeping it, and then you can say we really hate it, and then we can say we really like it. When does it stop, Till?
Okay, so we're doing a first roll, and we will see based on the roll how the chat reacts. If you really don't like the outcome, you can type veto in the chat, and you can call for a veto. And if we get the feeling that the majority is calling for a veto, then we will do a second roll, but then it sticks.
All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to set this roller up here and roll for it. And of course, it's not. Why is it not working? Why is it not showing it? I literally just did the test now. Oh, dice roller. There we go. And I set up a nice animation. So that roll does not count. It doesn't count. It doesn't count because you didn't get to see it. And so I'm going to do it again. Right. So there we go. So this is the roll number 12. Island.
Okay.
Island. Didn't you and I do an island?
Yes,
too?
you and I did an island.
We did an island, so it could be interesting to see. Chat, what do you say? Do you say
you want to see
veto,
another
veto,
island
or another island? What do you want to do? What do you want to do, chat? And so Forecaster 71, I'd like something else. All right, sure. Forecaster Salt says I like islands. Okay. Bubco Phonic says 12 is solid. Benken now 81 says like island. I think island is going to stick.
I think island is going to stick. So we're going to see, which is also super interesting. I'm already kind of, I'm thinking of all the things I can do with island, because then we can put your map guy, my map, and the new island winner map all together, and we can compare how they have progressed.
Compare maps and things. All right. Okay. So island it is. Island it is, but this is very not. This is not the end. Right. So island it is. Now, from the location. So the location has obviously been very important in determining the basic look. Now we need to go, well, what is the function of the structure that is built upon this island? And for that, we roll a d12 once again. Give me a second here and roll a d12. And we get a 7. A facility. A facility. Chat? A facility on an island. I mean, the dice know, right? They just know. I have built my facility on a desert island out in the middle of the ocean from which I will cause world domination. I don't know. Yes, so facility. So facility is, it's not a prison. It's not a lair. It's not a temple. It's not a tomb. It is a facility. It is going to do something. It's going to process or handle something in some kind of way.
Forecast had actually the same thought. When I heard island and facility, I was also thinking about the TV show Lost, where I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Facility on the island. But I can see that the chat is not super excited about it.
Well, we've got one veto.
No,
so
we
one
got
person out of
something
22.
else. Salt level says something else. We have phonics veto. So coconut farm. Yeah, I was thinking coconut
farm. Well, technically that would be a facility.
So
yeah.
last chance, guys, chat. If you want to have a facility on an island, we are going to keep it. Otherwise, quickly type veto in the chat, and we will see what happens.
Yeah. 2 people don't like it so far, but let's see if anybody else does. Now, if we look at some of the other options, zoo, a place of entertainment, a palace. I mean, those could work. Well, no, salt level max, you've already vetoed it. So have you, Bubco. Those you've already been counted. So those are the 2. We need 2 more, at least 2 more folk to lend their voice to this whole thing. Otherwise, it's going to stick.
Yep.
So,
I think it's going to stick.
Are you calling? Okay, you've called it. All right. So it is a facility on an island. A facility on an island. Okay. Well, now that we've got the location, now that we've got the function, let's look at the species that have built this facility on the island. So here are the potential species. We've got quite a few there that are interesting. Are there some that you would like, Lord God?
One.
There's one that you would like. Humanoids. I want number 1.
Honestly, I'd be fine with the majority of these.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Climbing creatures could be interesting.
That is one of the ones that I would not be okay with.
I see.
I would also love to see
how
a facility by sophisticated people would
I don't
look
want to see Hive twice two times a year.
Right. Well, let's see. So here we go. We're rolling it. It's an 8. Aquatic creatures have built a facility on an island. What are the aquatic creatures doing on this island? Oh my goodness, you guys have got a tough one. Aquatic creatures is great. Tiny, nice, says Carubale. Carubale.
Oh, look at all those vetoes.
Nice. What
Is there a lot of vetoes?
There are no vetoes.
Oh.
I think it fits well, says Bacchanal, 81.
What? Why would aquatic creatures climb onto the island?
Yeah.
Facility.
Well, you know, this is part of the challenge, is figuring out just what the hell is going on.
Maybe we'll
and we're not
crazy.
done yet. All right, so aquatic creatures have built a facility on an island, and the final thing that we need to look at is the alignment of this aquatic builder. They built this facility with the intentions of committing chaotic evil.
And now I know.
Okay, so the alignment, folks, if you're not familiar with this particular system, the alignment basically determines the type of structure that has been built. So chaotic evil structure, I'm not going to tell you what that would do, but I will say, for example, that a lawful good structure might have lots of natural light coming in. It might have large open spaces, no secret areas. It would be generally a building that makes logical sense and that is open and fair to everybody. As opposed to perhaps a neutral building, which would have very limited decoration, would have neutral lighting, and would have very, very, very symmetrical structures to it. Chaotic evil, well, that's a whole different story altogether. And hopefully our designers will get that. We've got no vetoes on the chaotic evil. Everyone's happy with that as well. Okay, so an island facility built by chaotic evil aquatic creatures.
No, this is going to be fun.
This is interesting. This is very, very interesting. And I think that for you folks, you can start thinking about ideas. The countdown is going to start shortly. And Till, anything you would like to add to this one?
Well, good luck.
Okay, well, with those words of wisdom, of good luck, map makers, your time starts now. 3 hours and counting. Oh my goodness. All right, so whilst they are starting to work on everything that is going through their heads, there are a whole bunch of different processes. We're going to be catching up with them as they continue to make their maps throughout the course of this evening. We're going to drop in, we're going to see what they're doing. We're going to have one-on-ones with them where we interrupt their thought process and ask them ridiculous questions like the color of the ice cream that their dog ate on Tuesday, as well as other bits and pieces. Already got Lord God there, you see. And we'll take it from there. Now, Till, you were busy preparing something.
Yep, I'm already done, I think.
Already done. Apologies. Yeah. So Till is busy doing something. Till, whilst I am preparing something,
yes.
Do you want to just talk us through the different locations and sort of the impact that those locations would have to you as a creator?
To me as a creator. Well, I think the interesting part of whenever we do, we can have kind of a two-way approach to it. So the one approach is as a storyteller. I think it's important to understand the implications of those locations and how they can underline the narrative of where our story goes. And I think all of those locations come inherently with a mood or an atmosphere that can actually be used to either underline how the story is progressing or completely subvert the original idea. So for example, if we hear swamp, right? I think a lot of us will start thinking about, well, okay, this is spooky ghosts, corpses. This is kind of a creepy environment. So maybe I need a swamp for a creepy environment. But when you take a step back and think about it, you could also think about something like a very funny setting or a very, very quirky environment where you have, how do you call them? Those mangrove boats, like the speedboats, where you have quirky...
Sorry to interrupt you, but think about the swamp from Shrek.
Yes,
that
exactly.
Certainly wasn't an evil foreboding.
I'm always thinking about the swamp people from the Last Airbender from Avatar, where they were kind of hilly-billy weirdos and kind of strange. So there is this distinct mood that you can use for such a location, and all those locations typically come with certain environmental threats, right? A swamp definitely has water, and probably those maze-like pathways that might cause threats to exploring that area. Aerial, the chance of dropping or falling down is quite an interesting threat. Although this alleviating feel of endlessness and freedom is something very positive about an aerial location. So whenever you take those locations from a story perspective, you can think about how does it fit my narrative, or how can I subvert that location to create kind of a surprise or plot twist area there. Now, from a map maker's perspective, the reason why we're creating maps is because we, most of the time, so again, there are different scenarios, but most of the time we're using it as a tactical combat situation. So when you create a map in that certain location, I think it is important to remember the inherited expectations or the inherent expectations from your players. So it isn't the biggest problem to actually play with tropes, because you don't want to completely overload your map with weirdness that your players do not recognize, because it is just so different from their expectation. So when you look at an underwater map, for example, players will expect that you either kind of tone the colors to something that looks like you would see it from underwater, or create an environment, the way that you place plants, the way that you place rocks, debris, cliffs, crates, whatever it is that you shipwrecks, whatever you put there, those are the things that kind of specifically identify this map as underwater. If you're playing too much with unexpected colors, then it might be not completely understandable for the players on the table what they're actually looking at. So as a map maker, when you look at those environments, you have to break it down to what's the expectation that you're trying to meet there, because you're trying to create a tactical environment that should make it easier for the player to navigate. And that's an important factor.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree with you more. Now, the guys have been working for 6 minutes, so I don't think we'll have very much to see. But at the same time, you never know. You never know. So, gentlemen, please switch for me. Okay. So there you can see we have an island. It is a facility. There are aquatic creatures that are chaotic evil. And some interesting choices already on behalf of both of them. I see, Till, that Incubus is doing that wonderful thing of using the path tool and trying to close it.
Yeah, which is not working because you can't close paths yet in DungeonFog. But I think the approach is quite good, is just quickly dragging it a bit over. And yeah, I think
There you go. Okay.
that's brilliant. All you need to do is kind of cover up that specific overlap, and then you're good. I think it's super interesting to see the different approaches here, because Incubus is actually did some sketching, some brush sketching to get a first understanding of the layout. And Lord God has already started quite strong, I believe, because we can already see there the tone of the map, and it is going to be some kind of volcanic map as I kind of interpret it for now.
Yeah, interesting. Heavy use of the path tools on behalf of both of them, which I think is indicative of just how strong the path tool is.
Actually is. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Will be interesting to see their water technique, if there is any water technique, or if this is it. Because water has traditionally always been a challenge in terms of making it feel as if it has depth. And I kind of feel, because it's aquatic creatures and it's an island, it's like there's got to be some focus.
There's got to be depth to it. Well, we will see. I think a good way to kind of circumvent it, especially at the beginning, I think, is using. I think Lord God did that using the backgrounds that we have. There are certain kind of environmental background images that are already hand drawn to fit a certain environment. So we can see that there is the background image for water, which I think alleviates you from having to stress about that at the beginning. And then I think you can use this actually as kind of a staging point for later when you're doing touch up and final adjustments, to then probably adjust the transparency and give it something that's beneath the waves. We will see.
Sure. I mean, it's so interesting watching the guys work.
Yeah.
And seeing as well. You spoke about the maps already. We kind of see. Okay, well, there's tone already in Lord God stuff, and we've got Incubus busy working on the coastline here to make the water look a little bit more. Well, we'll see what he's doing with that water effect there. It's interesting to see the scale as well, in terms of the sheer size, because if I'm looking at it, I can't really see the grid spacing on Incubus's map, but on Lord God's map, but Incubus has got quite a lot of squares there.
Yeah, it looks like this is probably something like 30 or probably 40. Yeah. But when you look at Lord God's grid, thanks for activating it quickly.
Yes.
That's also quite a big map. So from a tactical perspective, if you think about it, if you have I would say, if we're staying, for example, in the 5th edition D&D ruling, right? The regular character can move up to 6 squares before he has to dash, which means spend another action to move, which increases the whole movement distance to 12 squares. Exceptions are, of course, there if you're an elf or if you're a monk, if you have special movement abilities. But that means that if you go beyond this, then whatever you do on the map, the players will not be able to reach their goal within one move, or spending the whole movement, like movement and action, to get there, which then creates an interesting tactical encounter. Because if the map gets too small, you can reach each point within one move. Then why do you actually need a map for it, unless you suddenly introduce difficult terrain or obstacles that you have to go around? So looking at both those maps, I think they are both in the medium range. Like, I would say Lord God probably has really kind of a battle map environment here, where you do combat on this map. Whereas Incubus map looks like it's going to be more of an exploration type map, where you could, if you load that into VTT, where you could have your players actually explore and uncover bits and pieces of the map as they progress. So we're going to see. I'm super curious to see how you're going to play on those maps eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we are 18 minutes away from the first challenge that is going to get added. 18 minutes. So with 18 minutes just left, getting their basic design now is important, because suddenly meteors, who knows, whatever, suddenly cute has to get added into the map somehow. So who knows what's going to be added.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. We will also be doing that raffle for the very first draw as well. That will be for an annual license to DungeonFog, so you will need to be part of the stream for that, so don't miss it. That's in 17 minutes and 31 seconds by the clock, so you want to be around for that. Now, we are also going to be chatting with the guys, and that's going to be in 2 minutes' time, as a matter of fact. We're going to jump into the first designer, start asking them questions about what it is that they're doing, what they're thinking, and make sure that they both equally lose the same amount of time to answer questions whilst we are talking, so as neither to give either one an advantage. What's slightly different is we won't be doing them back to back. There'll be a slight gap in between, just to settle nerves and let folk kind of get some work done before we interrupt them for our questions and for your questions as well. So please, if you have any questions for the designers, if you're watching what they're doing now going, why did they do that? Or why did they do this? Put it into chat. Put the word question in caps in front of your question and drop it in. And then I will ask it to them when we are having our one-on-ones with them in 1 minute and 19 seconds. Not to put any pressure on the designers. They don't know who we're going to go to first. So it's going to be a bit of a surprise. And we'll see what they say to that. Anyway, that's coming up. And sometimes I feel like I'm on an island, says chat. Okay, well, there you go. I can tell you that I certainly am on an island. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Till, have you ever been on an island?
Well, probably not on such a small island. Like both of them look like they are smaller than the islands I would have been on, because I have been in Greece, I have been in Croatia on several islands on vacation, but all of them are proper islands, like
kilometers, miles.
I think no, you know what? The smallest island I've ever been on is the one where I was with my wife on honeymoon, and I can, by the love of God, not remember the name of the island. It was a volcanic island, and it was, yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. Sorry, it's. I had it. Now it's gone. It will be back in a second. But that was the smallest one because you could do a full round by car in an hour.
I see. Just a reminder to Incubus, you've changed your screen around with your num key. We were talking about keystrokes never being used.
What a shocker.
What a shocker. But that's all good. That is all good because you read my mind. We are going to go to Incubus for a one-on-one right now. So, Incubus, if you would switch back to your full frame for us, we're going to have a little chat with you. And so, questions. Yeah. Before we start, chat's already got a question. And the first question is from BankerNow81. Do you have a TTRPG in mind with this particular map that you're creating?
So I'm actually relatively new to RPG and tabletop scene in general. So the only ones I've ever really played has been 5e. That in mind, it's pretty flexible with what you can do with it. So I don't normally focus on the game rules rather than the scene or story I'm trying to say.
Fantastic. Right, so that was from chat. Fantastic question. So a comment from Hellrock is, I love the way that Incubus has done a rough draft of the rooms with a brush first. It's such a solid idea. Would you actually switch back to your map for us just for a moment, Incubus? Lovely. So just tell us briefly, what were you doing with those rooms?
So I learned this a few years ago where I struggle with starting ideas, and as they come to me, I often, because of my memory, lose the ideas I come with like the next few minutes. So as I get them, I set them down immediately and then come back to fill them in and do them later. It also helps me plan out and lay out how much space I have.
Yep.
Lovely. Till,
yeah, I think that's important because you understanding how the general spacing is super important. I would like to know if the genre you are building, because I'm super impressed that you see that you're not doing fantasy.
I know.
Is that inspired by a game that you're currently playing?
No. So the first thing that came to my mind when I heard Facility on an Island was James Bond. So I'm going with sort of a resort island with a dark secret.
Okay.
And I don't normally do modern or sci-fi because I'm usually a fantasy junkie, but I'm gonna try and mix it in.
Nice. I'm super impressed. And I'm curious to see how it ends up.
There we go. We've got 1 minute left, so one last question. Bob Cophonics has asked a very important question, which I feel, Incubus, if you can just switch back to your full screen, that will help those that are not observant. And the question is, are the cats helping you? Because there's a cat in the background. There was a cat in the background. Do the cats help or hinder?
So my little baby decided to sneak into my bedroom before we started, and they're now frantically asking me to open the door for them because they're now stuck in here. And...
But there's no time. You cannot leave the PC.
But I'm a wonderful man, so.
Look at those cats. Look at those cats. It's like, hey, look at us. We're important. We're more important than this. There we go.
The title. Yeah, brilliant. Good move.
Lovely. Okay, that is the bold move. He is the best. The cats must love him or worship him. Well, I think the worship is going the other direction. Anyway, folks, Incubus, thank you. You can switch back to your map and carry on. We won't bother you again for at least another 15 minutes.
Oh, fantastic.
Lovely. Okay, so Till, let's talk.
Yeah, Guy,
about...
can you? I think let's switch back to so that we can see both working. And
oh yes, my apologies. Thank you for reminding me.
No worries.
That's this one here.
You wanted to ask something. Apologies.
Yes, I did. We know that DungeonFog has got thousands of assets for almost every single genre. I can't think of any genre that doesn't have assets.
I think there's steampunk is a bit thin. That's the only thing I can think of. Because we have the clockwork stuff.
Yes.
But when it comes to, let's say, Victorian steampunk, then this might be the thinnest one that we have. But also it is, like, my experience is that when you look at what people are creating on the community hub and what the demand is, fantasy is by far the biggest one in demand. Although I am quite proud to see a lot of modern maps at the moment showing up in the hub. So yeah, so that's where I would weigh the experience from DungeonFog 2. I would say biggest chunk is definitely fantasy. Then it comes to modern. And I can see some sci-fi maps which are often also posted.
Do you think that people just don't do sci-fi because it's difficult, or because there's just not enough role-playing games based in sci-fi? Or
I think the combination is there are quite a few sci-fi systems out there, but not all of them are on a, I would say, person-based combat situation. There's a lot more space combat involved. There's a lot more broader distance combat involved. And you can only do so many galaxy maps, I think.
Yes.
And
I think you're absolutely right there. If I look at it and you go, well, this rifle can fire 1 kilometer distance. Okay, draw a map that's 7 miles long.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You actually have some interest going on there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so you say modern is the second most common type.
Yeah, and the interesting part about modern is that it's actually a lot of the modern maps I see. I mean, some of them are from, let's say, cyberpunk, or some post-apocalypse things, but there are quite a few that are kind of broad overview, like satellite images, which are quite nice. That are, I think quite interesting to see. But yeah, modern is in terms of asset use, it's probably in the top 5, but not in the top 3.
Yeah. Someone has just said, not someone, Forecaster 71, we don't have dinosaurs.
We can have dinosaurs. Well, we can always have dinosaurs. I think
we want dinosaurs.
If we want dinosaurs, then I hope we have them on the random table. We might see if we have dinosaurs on the random table.
This was in response to asset packs that DungeonFog.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
DungeonFog has a distinct lack of dinosaurs.
That's absolutely true. We don't have dinosaurs.
Yeah. Dinosaur skeletons, dinosaur
or prehistoric in general, honestly.
Yeah. So when it comes to creatures, we always have that kind of reservation, because if they are part of the map, that makes them stationary. If they are creatures, then they actually should be represented by tokens, because then they might be interactive and roam across the map. So it's kind of, I would be interested to hear what others think about the fact, do you decorate a forest with forest animals? Do you decorate a farm with farm animals? Or where do you draw the line, right? Because a farm animal might be in their dens or pens, or however you describe their kind of enclosed space, which there I think they make sense. But do you put a fox or an owl or a rabbit into a forest, or do you not? I think that's an interesting question. And then you ramp it up, because if the dinosaur is actually like, are they herbivores? Or are they also carnivores? Because if they're carnivores, I think they become threats to the players. Do you want to have them on the map as kind of a decorative element, or do you want to actually have them as tokens?
It is a question. I still feel like there should be more dinosaurs.
I've heard you
saying Jurassic Park without dinosaurs, but you go, yes, Jurassic Park, but the T-Rex would be a token, as you say. Or depending on how you use your button.
If you think about the scene where the T-Rex gets out of the gate and chases the poor fellow around the car, then you would have, if you would do this as a map, then you would have the habitat, the broken gate, the muddy environment where the rain comes down, and you have the car. But you would, on that map, you would not have a T-Rex, because that would be a mini or a token.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and one that we have 4 minutes left to ponder before we add in our first random chaotic element. I think one has to have a maniacal laugh when you randomly adding in something, because these poor guys are busy. They're like, dude, we're still making maps. We're still making beautiful maps. Leave us alone. We do not need to add in aliens. Who said aliens? I don't know. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying aliens. It's just, who knows? Who knows what could possibly come up there? One of the other comments was from Hellrock, who said that I think the reason why fantasy is so popular is just because 5th edition is currently the most popular, and it's the biggest with its setting of fantasy. So, yes, absolutely. We know that Dungeons and Dragons still dominates the market, and likely will do so for quite some time. Although within the 5th edition stable, and I don't know if they're going to be doing it or not, and I have spoken to several of the employees at Wizards about this subject, of which they're very, very, very quiet, is that they had a 3.5 version for modern, and they had a 3.5 version for fantasy. Literally called D20 Modern. Yeah, that's one of my favorite systems, D20 Modern. I thought that was the epitome of 3.5 rule set was the D20 Modern, and with D20 Modern came D20 Sci-Fi and D20 Historic. As a matter of fact, not a lot of people know that those systems exist, but they were a lot of fun. So there you are.
There you are.
2 minutes until we add in the first level of chaos.
Which also is, I think, a good moment to give a quick cue to our two artists here to save eventually your map.
Oh, I've been making sure to hit that button every now and then.
The saving has been the happening. All right. So Very clearly, we have a helicopter facility from Incubus, and we've got a forge, by the looks of things, from Lord God. We'll be catching up with Lord God in about 16 minutes or so, once the first challenge has been announced. And just remember, we will be giving away a 1-year membership.
I think at the moment, you can see that both challengers have actually quite... So the panic has subsided. Both know what they want to do, which is fine, because the first concept is kind of establishing. I can see a forge thing here, which means that the facility part will probably be volcano-based. I can see the helicopter, James Bond, evil guy facility. So now that this has started to formulate in your brain, the first random roll will come in, and that will mess with everything. And I'm super excited to see what that is going to be.
Okay. Well, I think we can just go to that screen quietly and on the fly.
Yeah, I think before we roll on it, however, I think we should do our first raffle, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm just going to ask our two designers if you would please switch back to your normal screen so we can get your nice faces as you discover just what the hell is being added to your lives. And let's get rid of that location there. We don't need to see you. All right, so with regards to the raffle, Till, talk to us about the raffle. What do they have to do?
Yeah, remind me. I think we're starting with the annual subscription, right?
It's one of the 3 annual licenses that we'll be giving away.
So all you need to do right now is type Battle Madness into the chat, which will then fill the chat, and I will randomly pick, of all the people who type this, I will randomly pick one person. And this person then has to send me or send our support@DungeonFog.com an email to receive the code. Yeah, it's fine. Battle Madness is the right term. Just type Battle Madness into the chat, and we will see who is going to be the winner for that. If you're not the winner in this round, don't worry. We have then 2 more of the annual licenses, and we have also 2 of the PDFs. And you can, of course, participate in all the raffles.
Lovely. Lovely. Okay, folks, so whilst you're typing in Battle Madness, let's bring up the table of random elements. There they are. There are 20 of them, and we're going to roll, and you still have that veto. So get that Battle Madness word coming in, typing it into text if you can, and Till will make his choice, and he'll let everyone know who that is. But for now, let's roll that D20. It is a 3. We've had this one from a mad scientist or inventor. Your map also needs to include a place from a mad scientist or inventor. Chat, are we happy with number 3? This is something that we have to ask ourselves. So before you include this in your maps, don't get too excited. It might be vetoed. It might very well be vetoed, so we'll just see what chat says about that. Although Salt Levels Max has already said, oh, I like that. Halrock says, honestly, feels a bit perfect for these maps. It does feel perfect, doesn't it? So the question is, do we feel that it's chaotic enough? Is it challenging our designers, or is it merely giving them a pass? As Bunkernow81 says, it's a bit cliched, but I do like it. Talon says, part of me wants to veto it to mix it up. So we've got some vetoes coming in. I think it's being vetoed.
I think it's being vetoed. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Just
folks.
too easy. It's just too easy.
Just too easy. Lord God seems happy with that. All right. So, no, D20. It is not. You were not allowed to roll 3 twice. So 17. Filled with a puzzle.
Oh
Build a
yeah,
puzzle.
that's nice.
All right.
No, there
That's
you go.
Always tricky.
It's
Always
tricky.
Okay, out of the fire into the frying
And
pan.
I don't know how you doing this, guy, but instantly my mind was going, okay, what would I do on Lord God's map? What would I do on Incubus map? I was like, okay, ideas. What would I do? It's
What would you do?
well, I'm not saying.
Love
it.
Love
okay,
that.
so just okay, step by step. First of all,
Yes.
the Run Roll machine has decided on a winner for the annual subscription license, which is Bookcophonics.
Well done, Bookcophonics.
Congratulations. So what you need to do is, I'm going to quickly type it in here. Send an email with your Twitch username to support@dungeonfog.com. We will receive that and we will respond. We will respond next week. I think Monday or Tuesday we're going to tackle that. And give you your activation code. So all you need to do is create, if you don't have already a DungeonFog account, create a DungeonFog account and redeem the code to activate your 1 year annual premium super thingy. And I say congratulations.
Fantastic. Absolutely lovely. So well done on that. And in just under 10 minutes, we're going to be chatting with Lord God as to just what's going through his mind on that front. Now, bearing in mind, we will be adding another 4 from this list throughout the remainder of this period. Our artists have got 2 hours, 24 minutes left. Although, to be perfectly frank with you, I mean, what they're doing looks pretty damned amazing so far. Till, I don't remember us being this far along at barely 36 minutes in.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see. I feel like we scrambled a lot longer with the beginning. So we had the island, I remember.
Yes.
I don't remember what we had then. Do you remember what was on the island?
Stuff.
Stuff. I think it had to be. I think there had to be something like both did. I know that you did like this pool in the center.
Yes, that was a hidden. Something else lived there, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I actually can't really remember.
Right. So, Till, have you updated the list?
I am sending it to you right now.
Lovely.
So
there's a little process we have to go through here behind the scenes.
You should be having it. There you go.
I do indeed. Thank you very much.
And I have so many windows open. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Right. So with that, Lord God, if you can switch, that would be great. Thank you.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. Now. Puzzles. What to do. Now, this is something that I do, and then I find that I have to actually remind my players that this is something that's possible. So when I'm running my games, I invariably am running them over Zoom, and my players have the DungeonFog viewer open so they can see the map in DungeonFog. But what that means is that the map is permanently active. And so I will build puzzles, I will hide secret doors and things on the map. And if they say, oh, I want to move this, then I move it and then they can see underneath it. But so seldom do my players actually engage with the environment. They're so excited with whatever that they're doing. They don't look underneath stuff. Even sometimes I'll hide a trapdoor and you can see half of it underneath the carpet. And the players still don't slide the carpet aside to have a look. So Till, how do you without saying there is a puzzle?
Yeah.
How do you go about presenting your puzzles to your players?
Okay, so typically, I mean, what I like to do is when you're presented when you present your players with a puzzle, you should present them with a solution to the puzzle, which means that you can pick specific locations on the map that they have to reach, explore, discover to learn about how to solve the puzzle, which is a great chance for us as map makers to actually get our players exploring the full map, because we're making the map and we would like to have all the regions explored. So we can take those clues and put them in several locations, which makes it interesting for exploration, which also makes it interesting for us to lead our players, because the way that we place those clues can also be a way to navigate our players through the map. I did, however, had, I think, two very interesting puzzles that I enjoyed. The one was where I was playing with the actual fog of war, so basically you have to think of a numbers combination, and the rooms were actually, when you revealed them, they were giving you the numbers combination. So it was kind of a meta gag that I did, where I said, okay, if you explore the room, and me as a game master, I uncover it. For the first two rooms, that was mean because those were 2 3s. So that's like, it's if you think of the digital 3, which is not rounded, which would be very straightforward that it's a 3. But if you just think about the fork 3, it's not inherently clear that this is a number. But eventually they were looking at the table, and they were like, hey, wait, look at that. The map looks like code, like a number series. And then they realized that this is how they actually unlock the map. It's very meta, but it was a lot of fun at the table. And the other one I remember was a transportation puzzle that I did, where whenever you go out the door, you actually come back in the same room, but on a different door. And you have to navigate through that maze by doing the sequence of certain doors, like up, up, left, down, down, right. And then you actually navigate through it. Otherwise, you have a feeling that you're coming back into the same room, although you have been teleported to a different room. And that's, I think, another nice way as a map maker to make a puzzle. Yeah, I think that's it. Otherwise, you really have, like, you putting something like a plaque or a statue or something there, and you narrate what's there, and then players have to solve the puzzle.
Yeah. I think there's those visual puzzles. In chat, they've said, well, you put a big red button, which is a trap, and on the button it says solution. So you press the button for the solution. Meanwhile, that's the actual
I did that
trap. That's
just in one of my last puzzles. I actually did that. They had 12 buried priests, and each priest had a kind of a plaque on their sarcophagus. And there was a little sentence, and the first priest was saying, "I have the key." And then the second priest was saying something like, "Well, I don't like Peter, so I will never give Peter the key." And then the next says, "Well, Mary gave me the key, but I passed it to Peter." So at the end, they had 12 sentences that they had to combine to logically learn where the key is. And both parties were so psyched that the first says, "I have the key," that they were like, "But that's too easy. That's too easy." So they were instantly metagaming in that moment when they said, "No, we don't trust this. This person doesn't have the key." Well, in the end, he didn't have the key. I was goading them. I was goading them to open it to have an encounter. But yeah, having a big red button that says solution is actually a viable distraction that you can bring on your map.
I was I've got to watch the time. I've got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So, chat. I'd love to know what your favorite puzzle is that you've dropped into a space at any one particular time. My players at a recent castle that I was playing in, no names mentioned, had three chemicals. They had the blood of a demon, the blood of a angelic being, and this ground coffee, which was called Café de Dublix. If you know your 5th edition mythology there, you'll know where Dublix comes from. So they knew that if you added Café Dublix to demon blood, there was an explosion. They knew that if you added Café Dublix to angelic blood, there was an explosion. They knew that if you set Café Dublix on fire, there was an explosion. But what they did not know was what happened if you combined all three elements together. And so my wonderful players, absolutely wonderful players, put all three chemicals, the blood of a demon, the blood of an angel, and the Café Dublix ground coffee beans into a barrel, which they fired out of a drow submarine into the open mouth of an aquatic Taresk.
Oh, wow.
And it swallowed it. And nothing happened. And they couldn't figure out why nothing had happened until they realized that the Taresk was so big that the barrel probably hadn't touched or bumped, or there was no reason for it to ignite. So one of them, a necromancer, had to send a ghost inside the Taresk, as one does.
To trigger it.
And when they triggered it, they found out what the puzzle solution was. And I thought it was fairly straightforward. The blood of an angel, the blood of a demon, and some strange coffee. Well, obviously, that's just going to open up a portal to the abyssal plane and tentacles. So the Taresk exploded and was replaced by a giant tentacle being clawing its way out of it. It was spectacular. Anyway, we are now going to take this opportunity to ask Lord God to join us in the chat room. All right, Lord God, strong start there. Volcanic island with a smithy.
Facility.
The facility. Facility. What are your thoughts on this puzzle?
So I have a puzzle in mind that I've used in my campaign, and it's kind of a joke. So I think it's sort of funny to put into this map. But in my campaign, I'm not going to give away the puzzle because I want it to show up on the stream. But in my game, it took my players 40 minutes to figure it out. And then at the end of the 40 minutes, the bard in my party realized the joke and was very upset with me.
Usually, do you kind of play test or test those puzzles with someone else if you're not certain if they can figure it out?
Yeah, I play tested it with my 9-year-old son, and he got it right away.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the same thing. So when I did the priest puzzle, I actually my 12-year-old daughter, she had a friend over, and I said, "Hey girls, can you solve that?" And when they solved it, I was like, okay, if my 12-year-old daughter can solve it, then my players should be able to do the same thing, which surprised me because it was apparently much harder for grown-ups than for kids to solve the puzzle.
I think the problem with the puzzle,
existed, right?
Sorry?
I was just saying, the show Smurr and the 5th Grader existed, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think for whatever reason, like, adults will just ignore the obvious.
I think they overcomplicate. That's the big problem. I think for kids, it's much easier to kind of follow, in my certain example, to follow the thread and solve it. Whereas for grown-ups, you have to be so careful with wording because they are going to interpret the wording as well. So they're overcomplicating it. And that's an interesting lesson to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Lord God, just with regards to some general questions, I've got one here for you. And again, chat, if you have any questions for Lord God, please go ahead and do it. Put it in chat with the word question in front of it. With regards to map making, why do you love map making?
Oh, I mean, for me, it's the first part of the storytelling. So I very often, the very first part of creating any sort of quests or anything for my players is to crack open the map maker and start to build the story just by being in that location, because the location tells so much, right? Like if you're in a desert, or if you're in the forest, or if you're in a castle, those adventures are very different from one another. So if you can start from that creative point of you already know where you are, then you just build and build and build on that. So I think that's why I like it so much.
Yeah. Then do you have any coping mechanisms to overcome that kind of that empty, the blank page syndrome?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, that's easy with DungeonFog, because you just go to the community hub and you search for a while until you find something that triggers some inspiration. Yeah, there's very often that sort of like blank page problem, and this competition is perfect. Like, it's the worst kind of blank page, because you start with not even your idea, right? And that's really hard. But yeah, I think just fiddling around and drawing something until inspiration comes sometimes is the best way. One of the maps that I've been struggling to draw to sort of satisfy the need that I need to fill for my campaign is a vehicle that my players are going to end up finding eventually, and I haven't been able to nail it down. And so I've been going back to that map over and over and over again, and it slowly is sort of starting to take shape. And just persisting sometimes is the best.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. Well, that's our 5 minutes with you already gone. So,
yes.
I'm sticking out of my frame. How embarrassing. That's great, and we'll catch up with you shortly. You can go back to your mapping. Thank you. All right, there you go. So even the great masters sometimes struggle and return time and time again to their maps. Until there have been any maps that you've kind of gone back to, going, oh, I really need to fix this. I need to fix this.
Oh yes. Well, quite a lot. Like quite a lot. I tend to since I have started, I very quickly started to have 2 gaming groups, office game groups. And they were always, because I was just too lazy to run 2 completely different games, I ran the same campaign with both groups and just watched them kind of drift in different directions throughout the game. However, because I'm doing the maps for the one group, I know that I might be able to bring the map back for the second group, which means that there's a lot of playtesting on the maps, because if I realize on one map that this didn't play out the way I wanted it, I just did an amazing laser trap thing that turned out to be absolutely useless, then I come back, revisit the map and change it. So depending on who comes to my maps first is the playtester, and then the second group can benefit from improvements, which is not always good for them. Because I've learned how to be more devious on the map, or sometimes it's a good thing because it didn't work out, so it was probably more fun to play on the map, or probably it was less fun, I don't know. And then there's of course like your personal style changes. Also with the way the DungeonFog has aged and evolved over the past years. The DungeonFog style has changed. So there are often maps that I come back to and I'm like, that was a really cool map. I would like to use it again, but I need to update the textures, or I need to update and add, as we can see, those cliffs, like paths in there. So yes, I'm creating a lot of new maps. I'm using a lot of community hub maps, especially if I'm running late on my game prep and I'm like, I need a map. Let's see what the hub has. And then I'm refining old maps if I want to reuse them.
That makes absolute sense. I agree with you as well. I mean, once the moment I got my hands on DungeonFog, many years ago now, I created one of the maps that I've been using since I was 18, and looking at it now, DungeonFog crashed back then because this was a 5-story high castle, and I tried to do every single story, and the lighting in those days was very different, and there was no such thing as paths and things, so there was just hundreds of brush textures on top of brush textures on top of brush textures. So
Yeah, right.
definitely love revisiting and updating those maps. And also taking the existing map and looking at it where you've got, I've got 10,000 assets, or whatever the number is, and then you rebuild it, and the 100 bookshelves that you had placed next to each other to make a big library is now just one path tool.
One path, yeah. I think in some cases, I know, especially for caves, it took quite a while for me to figure out how to actually make a nice looking cave. And I resorted to doing them by doing a prop template of different rocks and outcroppings. And then I started to kind of duplicate them along the line. For maps like those, I probably wouldn't go back and delete all the prop templates to add in a path. But when I reuse the map and I add rooms, then then I'm using the paths to do it, which often then results into, they're aesthetically not exactly how I like them. So now I have to redo the whole map thing. There is a map that I would like to revisit. One of the first maps that I ever did when I was playing my Curse of Strahd game, I rebuilt the whole castle Ravenloft with its 11 floors. And this was one of the maps that in the early days of DungeonFog kept crashing in my face. Ink, you had accidentally switched your... There you go.
I will never press the shortcut key.
Castle Ravenloft, it's such a massive map. And back then it was with, as you said, there was a time when we did the brush stroke where every stroke was its own layer. It was just too much. For map maker, for an online map maker, the RAM usage was just giving up with so many levels and lighting and all that stuff. So that map exists with the ground floor plans for each level, and I think one day I'll come back and just decorate it, because there are so many more assets now that some of the rooms I feel like they could change them up a little bit and add more stuff to it.
Absolutely. I think there'd be a lot of people very keen on that Ravenloft map, as a matter of fact. Right, so we are 4.5 minutes away from the next challenge to be added, because as we can see, both of them have already added in their puzzles and are way ahead on that part of the whole thing. So that means we're also 4 minutes away from the next raffle, which you could take home with you if you are sharp and part of the chat. Hellrock says, with regards to puzzles, is that I've had certain players just roll or ask to roll so that they can tell exactly where the start of the puzzle is. It still makes them feel engaged and learn how the puzzle works. Well, that's absolutely true. I also feel that when it comes to let's say 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, for example, with solving of a puzzle, we don't solve combat by asking the player to hit the GM as they would in the battle. So why do we ask the player to mentally solve the puzzle that their characters do? Why don't we just say, well, you have a whole bunch of skills like investigate and insight and perception. Roll those to solve the puzzle. What do you think it is that makes us want to try and solve the puzzle?
Honestly, I think it's just one more tool set in the way that we build tension on the table, and we build excitement on the table, because you're absolutely correct. Technically, a wizard could say, you know what, Till, I don't care. I'm going to make an intelligence check, and if I roll high, then I know how to solve the puzzle. And within the environment, it would be correct. But it is a form of entertainment, so we kind of actually break it into different metaspheres here, where we say, okay, combat, the part about combat is that we want to roll dice. and we want to see if our positioning on the map is actually good. So we want to play tactical. But when it comes to puzzles, we actually want to solve it. I think it depends. I mean, I know from my gaming groups that there are players who don't like solving puzzles. So it comes down to me as a game master to not torture them every game with kind of logic puzzles or physical puzzles where they have to piece together snippets of a paper or whatsoever. If they don't enjoy it, I'm not going to bring it all the time. But it adds a different type of atmosphere building and I think tension and excitement building to the table.
No, I completely agree with you. I do. Although I will admit, I have on occasion said to the players, this is a skill challenge rather than an actual.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to say the same thing. Is if your players are not interested into doing logic puzzles as the person on the table, then I would also make it a skill challenge, because the skill challenge aspect still leaves enough room to. It's about creativity. They want to add their character's creativity to it. So you're not saying you have to roll an intelligence check and you have to roll an intelligence check and you have to roll an intelligence check. And if 3 rolls are successful, you have solved the puzzle. That would be quite boring. What you say is, how would you approach to solving the puzzle? Tell me, what are you contributing? And we will see if enough of the group can contribute to solving the puzzle, you can actually solve it. And then it's something where they're invested in being creative and figuring out how they can solve the puzzle. Which is nice, because as a GM, you don't have to come up with a puzzle. You just say, there's a puzzle. How do you solve it?
Yes, this is true. This is true. Although Hellrock says, well, clearly the answer is that we actually just need to have the players start physically attacking the DM. And if they can beat the DM into submission, they beat the monster.
Am I the only one who ever thought of doing the combat as a quick LARP scenario in the garden? I felt like that would have been a lot of fun. We actually.
Yeah, this is where you use the veto.
Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of veto, it is time.
It is time.
Designers, please switch back to your normal screen as we go to our random roll. And I think this time, let's roll it. Let the guys carry on, and then we'll figure out what's going on with the raffle. So we're still on a D20. So here we go. And if any of you are wondering what we're using for this roll, it is dddice.com. That's a 6. Once belonged to a different civilization.
Oh, okay.
How would you make this map look like it once belonged to a different civilization?
Wait.
Remember, you can veto this chat if you want to. Till?
No, it's fine. I mean, me personally, now I'm in the relaxed seat here, and if the contestants suddenly seem relaxed by the result, I feel like, wait. But it's not up to me. It's up to the chat. Let's see if someone throws in a veto.
So far,
a veto.
We've got a like. Yeah, we've got a like.
Yeah, we've got a like.
It is interesting. Once belonged to a different civilization, then the aquatics took over.
Seems like a good one. I think
Seems like a good
no one's throwing in the veto. And also, I just realized it is actually, I think it is a quite interesting one, because it might seem easy for Lord God at the moment, but it is probably a bit more difficult for Ink.
Maybe.
I have no idea what to do about that one, honestly.
Okay.
Well, you are challenging the champion, so you have to prove the worth. So there you go. Let's see what you're going to do with it. It's going to be a different civilization, right? I'm locking it down.
We're at an hour in, right?
You are 1 hour in. You have 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 28 seconds left.
Oh, that's plenty of time. Fantastic.
Oh, Incubus playing it cool. Lord God already panicking. Only 1 hour and 57 minutes left.
It's as much a psychology game as it is a skill game.
Absolutely.
I'd say it's a skill issue on his part.
Ooh, here coming the burns.
Oh,
I remember when we used to work together.
Those days are gone.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Till, I think you and I should just leave the room for a little bit, come back and just see who's still standing.
Who's still standing, right?
There's that LARP combat interaction.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go. Okay, right. So Till, how would you like to do this raffle? And this is for the PDF of the Creator's Guide to Awesome
Epic Locations.
Nature.
Yeah. There you go.
This is
So,
PDF. How would you like
same
to-
as before, if you want to participate in the raffle, please type now. What did we say? What was it? Battle
Was it map?
Madness.
Yes. Map Battle Madness.
Type Map Battle Madness. And I will collect all the entries, and then I will run my little randomizer over it, and we will see who is going to be it.
Now this is for a PDF of that book. I have to say, I think it's probably one of the most beautiful books that certainly I've produced in a long time. It just came out so nicely, and
yeah, you're actually the one. I think you have already a hard copy, right? And I don't.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But yes, hard copies should start shipping shortly, because the books are literally all over the world at the moment, on their way to their final destinations. So that's all very, very
I hope they
exciting.
don't end up on an island with a facility.
With a facility that is now run by Chaotic Evil Aquatics.
Aquatics. Oh, right, the Chaotic Evil.
But
That's
that was once owned or built by a different civilization.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting with that is that the different civilization, they could have a completely different alignment. They could have a completely different approach to things. They don't have to be aquatic. It could be all sorts of things going on. All right. So, folks, type in the map battle madness. Seems like I'm not going to say anything, but so far only Banker Now 81's got it right. The other two didn't write in map battle madness. Not that I'm a stickler for rules.
No, don't
I'm
worry,
just
don't
saying-
worry. Don't muddle my list here.
A whole bunch of things happening and going on in our lives right now. There we go. There's a correction coming in there. So, pulling tongues. Yes, indeed. Indeed. All right, designers, would you please switch back so that we can switch back to the map to see what on earth is going through your minds? Okay. Lots of text being added on both fronts, which I quite like. So, yeah, things be happening. Things be happening. And I'm just busy looking. So, both designers have gone with double level so far. And it looks like Incubus has come back to the top level to add some stuff in. I do think that's something that everybody does. Is as you're designing, you kind of go, oh, I needed this, or I needed that, or I needed the next thing. I am intrigued. Whilst Lord God is busy using orc assets, and that dragon door.
All right.
So, we're getting new doors in version 6, right?
Yes, new doors are coming in version 6. There's a complete rework of the door system planned. Before I talk about that, we have a winner. I have collected all entries, and the Dice God has decided to give the book, the PDF, to Carubail. Carubail, congratulations.
Carubail, congratulations.
Carubail. same as before, send us an email with your Twitch news and username to support@dungeonfog.com. And also, please, I think for the love of it, I'm taking notes, I'm writing it down, but just let me know that it's about the PDF. And we will.
Yes, I'm also writing down who won.
Yeah.
Who won what?
Who won
Okay,
what?
so-
Okay. So again, we are going to look into this on Monday and Tuesday. So expect an email from us, an answer from us next week. And you'll have your PDF. Congratulations.
Lovely. Okay, so we are into the second hour, and I think that when you look at these maps, you kind of go, well, what Incubus has done already would be sufficient for most modern maps. I need a hotel with a swimming pool and a helicopter pad.
Yes, I agree. But I think if you know Incubus maps, then there is this special love to detail, and especially like atmosphere, mood, lighting, and texturing. So I can see the promise of what this map is going to be, but I'm super excited to see what it's actually going to be.
Well, my favorite part so far has been watching Incubus install his kitchen cupboards. I was like, you know, this is someone who has way too much time on their hands. I think Map Battle Madness Challenge next year, I think they need to do
Plan my
35
kitchen.
minutes. Build your kitchen.
We play fantasy games because we can have the fancy kitchen we can't afford.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
true.
This is very true. Just looking at those kitchen cupboards being put in, I was struck by the fact that you go, that is a attention to detail that makes that space read more as a kitchen than just putting down the kitchen assets, because it gives it a sense of depth.
Yeah, true. But talking about sense of depth, I think I also very much I'm currently watching Lord God doing the slightly flooded
like really dark.
Stella. Yeah,
yes,
the description is amazing.
The text. I think Lord God has nailed Map Battle Madness. Instead of drawing the map, he's just going to write the map. It's like, this is just really dark, cool room with lots of traps and a puzzle. DC 22, and he's done. Yeah. So those doors, Till, in version 6.
Sorry. Yes.
Just looking at the doors now that Lord God is using there and that sort of thing, those will be scalable.
Yes. Okay. So there are currently two things. There are currently two things that we don't like about the door system at the moment. The number one is the way that doors interact with the general lighting. Could be improved and could be done better, because the way that we differentiate between walls and wall elements and how they receive light versus the general ambient lighting of the scenery is not perfect. So the way that we want to rework the system, and there is some rendering rework necessary to do that, because the kind of the inherent technology, the structure, the way that we have structured the code would make it quite difficult to change that at the moment. But since we're rewriting a lot of the rendering code with V6, we can then tackle this actually. And the second thing is that it is so high in demand from everyone. Like, we're hearing that quite often, is we would like to change the way that we actually place doors, from having a single door that you just click or a double door that you just click, to actually say we want to define the range of where the door goes. So scalable doors, where we don't know how we're going to approach it, whether or not
like
you select a door. Yeah, something. So the path system is in there. So we're thinking maybe a path kind of, it's not going to be the usability is not going to be you have to draw a path of a door over it. This is a question of user experience and easiness. I think it might be that you still place the door, But then you could use the mouse wheel to make them bigger or smaller and adjust them to the size that you would like to have. We don't see that problem that often being reported with doors than with windows. Because
I think a whole wall of windows in a modern setting would be
modern
great.
setting with windows. There are tricks to work around it. Where you could actually do kind of a window front, a glass front to a building. But that is something that we will definitely want to rework. And also there's the third aspect of it is the behavior of doors and dynamic lighting would be interesting to tackle, where you say, okay, you can actually adjust how far open the door is, and that will influence the cone of light that is created through that door or window. So there's a lot of things that we can do in version 6, but the basics are make sure that they work in, like, there's a global lighting system that addresses every element on the map, and number 2, make it easier to adjust how wide the door is, and that's what we're going to do with it.
Very, very exciting stuff. Cannot wait. I mean, if you look at the steps, the strides that have been made with the path tools, I think once those doors are in, it'll just be a game changer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, generally speaking, it is
like the final update.
So the paths tool, because of the way of how powerful it is, also bringing together the artists and what they can do with a paths tool, and the usability of how easy it is to draw paths, kind of inspired a lot of things that we're going to address, because we the way that we would like to do rooms in the future will also very much rely on how good can we draw a path instead of the way that we render walls at the moment. So there's a lot that we know how we want to do it and how we want to improve it, that we already know that we're going to do based on all the experience that we got through the pathing tool. It's also, for those of you who've been watching the anniversary stream last week, we have, by incorporating the paths tool into the city map maker, so many things have changed and improved that it's a completely different tool, and paths are a really, really strong suit of our tool palette, generally speaking.
Okay, it is time. Incubus, would you please switch back? We're going to have a little chat.
Right,
just as you were getting into it, you were just getting into that new room that you're working on. Tell us, you've got 2 levels going? Are we going to get more levels than that, or is it just 2?
I think for now it'll stick with 2. The idea is that the upper level is what the outward appearance is, and the lower level is what actually happens.
Okay. So do you already know what facility you're making?
Correct.
Okay, you're not going to tell us yet.
I can, if you're gonna twist my teeth about it, I could. But
no. If you want to keep it, that's fine. I just wanted to know if you already have an idea about what the facility aspect of the facility is going to be.
I think a lot of people could probably figure it out with the puzzle I left in the first floor. So I actually already put the puzzle in. You might not have even noticed, but it's more of a murder mystery than anything.
Interesting.
I wondered what you were doing with that text that you were busy placing in.
So the idea is that there are several guests that come in, and then one of them goes missing in the night.
Yes.
They find a bloody scrawled message under one of their beds, and it leads them to the pool, which has a human bone in it. And we have water beasts, or water creatures, in an ancient building with a facility, which means it has a purpose. Well, I mean, where are the guests being fed?
Right, exactly. And I guess that the idea of this ancient civilization really feeds into the fact that the hotel could have been an existing structure, right?
Could have been. To be perfectly fair, I might have cheated out on that and just put ruins around the place. Like, hey, there's ruins here.
There
it's
is
part
nothing...
of the tropical aesthetic. Welcome to this getaway where the Aztecs were here. Totally.
Lovely. I don't think there's anything wrong with the challengers going, oh, I need to just put in the thing. So there's a thing. I think we've all been there and all done that. So far, do you think you are on track?
I think so. I think I should have the second floor done within an hour, and then the last 30 minutes will just be cleanup and additions. Hopefully.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay. People are loving the idea that there is a pool in the evil lair. It's a great addition. Evil masterminds need to relax and unwind and get their laps in. So that's great. Till, any questions from your side? Otherwise, I've got a few.
No, then in that case, if you would quickly excuse me, I have to do a quick bathroom break. I will leave the questioning to you. I will be back in a second.
Okay, so then moving forward on that one, how much artistic skill do you think someone needs to be a map maker? Would you consider yourself an artist, and that has helped you in your map making, or do you think that it's down to something else?
I don't think you need to be an artiste to be a map maker. Like, all you need is pen and paper and an idea of what you need to get done. But to draw a scene and to tell a story are very different. And I think that requires a little bit of practice and a little bit of experience when it comes to constantly telling stories. And I'm looking at my old maps, and they evolved the more I played Dungeons and Dragons, the more stories I told to what they are today.
And by evolved, you mean in just the artistic style, or in the clarity of the narrative? What do you mean?
I think the answer to that is yes. All of the above.
Yes, all of the above. Everything. Okay. All right. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And then, because I have to keep it for the same time that I keep Lord God, what is your favorite genre to draw?
Oh, it's definitely going to be fantasy. When I was drawing, I used to draw a lot when I was a kid. And I even went to a little bit of art college. Didn't do much for me, but it did. And I always had a fascination with drawing monsters and creatures and the abstract. And I think that kind of comes with where my name is.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Okay. Fantastic. Well, you can switch back and carry on going. I will bother you no more. And whilst you are doing that, I will just remind everyone that we have exactly 9 minutes until the next additional challenge is added. Because we haven't had enough so far.
There's more.
There's more. There's so much more. Yeah, and we've also got more raffles coming up as well. So if you haven't yet won a raffle, the next one coming up is another 1-year annual license to DungeonFog. 1 year's worth of DungeonFog, basically for participating in the chat. I think that's a lot of fun. And obviously for having the luck of the dice that decide the winner or not. Okay, we've got 8 minutes to go till I am going to follow your lead and leave you to chat away to the folks and find out what's going on. And Lord God has been spending either a lot of time on this section or has been hiding something from us.
I think.
Don't know. You find out. I'll be back.
Yes, I'll take over. So generally speaking, I must say both of you are doing quite good. You're quite good in the lead of time versus map progress. I feel like when I was remembering back to when I was doing my maps, I were way behind. I would be interested, though, at the end to see how you actually both made the incorporation of all the requirements. So we have the island. The function is facility. I think really challenging are the other two aspects, which are how do you, because when you think about it, what you're doing is you're handing the map over. We're posting them on the website to do voting, so people actually see the requirements and then have to vote how you actually represented those elements on the maps. So the two that are really complicated, I think, I don't envy you for those two, are how do you relay that the species is an aquatic creature species, and how do you relay that the alignment of the whole thing is chaotic evil? I can see both approaches that you're doing. So I think it's going to be interesting. However, I'm super curious to see at the end of it how it's actually going to be for someone who was not watching you from the beginning, but has to judge based on the map that they are seeing. So just a quick reminder in that regards, because I think that is the most challenging aspect of it. Right. So when we look at, I think you if I look at Lord God's map there, you have those evil spiky things that you're putting down there, which I think is already quite evil. I can see a lot of blood being added there on Incubus map, which is nice, which is a blood trail that is coming up here. What do you think, both of you? This is just a question while you're working. What do you think? You have 1.5 hours left. When are you going to, like, what are typically your final touches, and when are you going to transition into, I'm done with the map, now I'll add final touches? Let's start with
the map.
Yeah, I think when I'm done with the map is when it can't tell any more story, I guess, is probably
Okay. Yeah.
And then the final touches will be putting in all the atmosphere. So like maybe I'm starting down the road of chaotic evil, but I gotta seal the deal, right? It's gotta has to feel like it's actually a dangerous place and like an insanely evil place. And then like setting up the lighting, like and making it, giving some of those artistic elements. I think that's the parts that I'll do, hopefully get done before the end.
Ink, what about you?
Sorry, my one brain cell was distracted. What was the question?
Don't worry. The question was, what are typically your final touches, and how do you know that you're now getting ready to add them?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I have an answer to that. I think it's just when I feel it's right.
Okay.
It's just kind of this feeling.
When you think about what's the final touches, what do you do? I know from the maps that I'm looking, the maps that I've been seeing from you, you often you add through brushes. You often add your own shadows to it. What is about lighting? Do you add light sources? Do you use like point lights, or do you like more atmospherical lights? What's kind of the trick if you want to teach or relay the ideas of what makes your map special? What's the trick?
That's actually a good point to make, is I do a lot of lighting and shadows. And it's because for my table, we use a software called Foundry, or Foundry TTS, which is a really good software for 5e, which allows me to add light. Now that being said, I can add globules of light that cast shadows and light, but I also want to show it on the map that these are lights that are available. And I often use that as an option. Like, I'll put down a sconce and I'll either leave it unlit or lit so that the players can choose to light it, and then it pops up into their game. Likewise, I really do enjoy the double casting trick I do with my shadows. Like I did it up here on the first floor. Like, I just take the same asset of what I'm trying to cast and then duplicate it, transparentize it, and then make it black, and it works. And I do a lot of that at the end of my time when I have everything set and I know I'm not really adding more. Then I'll start going in and adding final touches.
Which, by the way, reminds me to remind you quickly that you probably should save.
Thank you.
I mean, again, the good thing about DungeonFog is that it actually auto saves whenever you do something on the map. But the benefit of pressing the save automatic, like pressing the save manually, is that it creates a version history. So, pardon me,
Right.
even if something really, really terrible would happen, you could always go back in a previous version and load that one up. So better safe than sorry. Don't forget to save. Welcome back, Guy.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Till
Right in time, because we're running up to the next.
Yeah, 1 minute 42, and then we add another challenge because we didn't have enough already. Super excited to see what happens there. But in all seriousness, Till, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on dentistry.
Yes, sure. How can I help you?
Do you find when you're making maps, maybe it's just me, oftentimes I find myself clenching my teeth as I can almost see the room in my head, but I cannot figure out how to translate it into.
Yes, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. It's so when you're telling that story, there is one room that instantly pops, or one map that I want to do that instantly pops in my head that I have never really achieved to make as it looks in my imagination. And that I'm calling it the Hall of Stairs. That
literally
is
mine as well.
Yeah.
Lots of staircases.
Lots of staircases,
yes.
But what you need is, and we know that we need this, and it's going to come with version 6. What you really need to make that work is you need perspective. You need the bokeh effect of blurring and darkening things that are going down in the distance, because otherwise it's just flat stairs above flat stairs, because the top-down perspective of a map makes it so difficult to actually make it work. There is quite a cool prop that Tony did, which is the round staircase that goes down indefinitely. That's the thing. But solving the same thing with drawing it with rooms or paths is I haven't achieved what I want to do yet. So yes, I know the problem. That's why I have this bite thingy that I usually put in my mouth before I start map making.
There you are. There you are. Now, Talon Amberai has got a song going, which I'm not even going to try and sing, but they've got musical notes in chat, and I can hear the song in my head. But that's as far as it goes. Trust me, it's safer that way. Okay, time to add another component to your maps.
Yes.
So let's switch back, if you please, designers. And here we go. Adding for our third roll. That is a D20 and a D12, just for the confusion of it. But it's the D20 that we want. Your place, your map also needs a place of great power. Great power. With great power comes even more power. And then heroes coming to try and take that power away from you. One moment you're a lich on the rise, and the next moment you're just a pile of dust. So, power, great power. Do we want veto on chat? Would you try?
Do we want veto? This is your chance. If you like it, just tell us that you like it and we'll leave it. If you want to have a veto on that, we will see how many people are calling for a veto, and then we would roll again.
With great power comes great challenges, says Hellrock. Well, maybe this might be a challenge for our designers. They're not pulling their hair out yet, so
they're too relaxed here.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Just add it in. Just why not? Just
While
throw
in my head.
Hellrock continues to say, Incubus seems worried, which makes me want to keep it. But this one comes without responsibility. Okay, so you can have great power without responsibility on this one. I think that's fair. Okay, great power
I don't hear any vetoes, so great power it is.
Absolutely, great power it is. All right, okay. So I think almost everybody has got the riddle in or the puzzle in place. Ancient civilization, well, that remains to be seen. We'll find out from Lord God in a little bit what's going on there. And now it has to have a place of great power.
Was it? I'm sorry. Was it ancient civilization?
I think it was a different civilization, right?
It was a different civilization.
Yeah, that's the key.
Okay.
Yeah. A different civilization. Yeah, different civilization. Yeah. So what belonged to a different civilization remains to be seen. But now it has to have a place of great power. So that's interesting. Now I'm looking at the rest of these numbers, and we've got 2 more to go. 2 more to go. And I'm looking at it going, well, I would personally love it if they added in a 5. The place is infested.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Just throws everything out the window.
Yeah, that would be nice. I think the 11 is also really mean.
Inhabited by someone else. Yeah, it's like, okay, now everything that you've done, forget that. Another one. I mean, I just love pirates. I just love to see how these guys add pirates again. I think Lord God would just go, you know what, open up the old map, copy the pirate
Copy the pirates.
dump it in here. Yeah, or a place of worship is always fun as well. Another one that I love is number 18. That no one dares to enter.
Well, I think that one would probably get a veto from me, because that would be really cruel for Inc. Setting up a murder mystery. I mean, setting up a murder mystery mansion facility that no one dares to enter is kind of that would be really.
I might get ruined by that one.
Yeah, no, that would get my veto. I think that would be too hard.
Saying 5 and 10, something cute. That's always a challenge. That's always a challenge.
Just a teddy bear somewhere.
You know what? Right? I think the real fun would be if the last challenge would be the 8.
The 8 that leads to a network below.
Because that suddenly means that you have to quickly, within 30 minutes, add a network below. I think that would be cruel as hell.
That would be something.
I think that's where you use the brush tool, convert to room. You just draw a squiggly line, convert to room, and you're done.
I'm so excited to see that. I cannot wait.
Just wait to see what DungeonFog does. Okay, you guys can swap back so we can see what you're doing with those awesome maps. And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Some interesting stuff going on here.
Yeah.
1 hour and 23 minutes remaining. So officially, you now have less time left than you have already experienced. I was going to say, you officially now have less time than when you started. It's like, yes, yes, you would have.
You don't say, guy. You don't say.
Oh dear, folks. Can you believe Till asked me to be here? Right. So I had another question, and designers, feel free to jump in if you're willing, but if not, we understand. Till, what do you think for you is the biggest challenge with map making?
Okay. So first of all, I'm going to answer the question, but please help me to remember that we are still owing a raffle. Because
we're still owing a raffle.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I haven't forgotten about it. It's an amazing question. And I would like to answer it. But then we're doing the raffle afterwards. So the most challenging part of map making, so for me, I think it's probably architecture. The thinking about the way that complex, whatever it is, a structure is actually designed from an architectural standpoint that is the right mix between playable and fantasy, because it's still a battle map. It doesn't help me if I create narrow spaces that don't offer quite the combat space. But also is true to the architectural intent of the building. A simple example is a cathedral, right? A cathedral is a cathedral because it follows certain architectural rules to make it a cathedral. So what is that? And how do you create? Now, when you think of a cathedral, we all think of probably a Roman Catholic Vatican cathedral thing, right?
Sure.
But
apse,
what if that is the Cathedral of Lolth, or of Bahamut, or of what's the dwarven guy? I want to say
Moradin.
Moradin. Thank you. That's the name, right? Moradin. So how does that look? Because now you have those, again, stereotypical cathedral structural elements, but you have to translate them into the architectural ideas of a certain species and how they would have architecture. Because Elven, I think, well, it comes to whatever you think they do, but for me, Dwarvish architecture is often kind of blockish and
Deco.
Exactly. Whereas Elven might be more curved and elegant in its style. So how are you doing this? So I often find myself doing some sketches where I play around with sketching things on the paper first to actually get a feel of how do I marry those two concepts. That is, for me, I think the hardest part, because as someone who's using DungeonFog for all my maps and being quite versatile in DungeonFog, adding atmosphere, not a big problem. Adding a nice aesthetic style, not a big problem. Like decorating the map, not a big problem. All those things the software solves for me. So because I feel like I'm probably lacking some originality there. This is the hardest part for me, is to get the architecture right.
Well, there you go. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
What is it for you, Guy? I would like to hear you.
For me, it's scale. It's scale. Because I have the wonderful opportunity now of being able to go and visit actual castles. When you look at a castle that you build in DungeonFog, traditionally you go, okay, well, the castle from one side to another side is 100 square feet. That's not the size of castle. Or cathedrals. You're talking about cathedrals. I was in what once was a cathedral. Now it got downgraded to a church because the saint who made it a cathedral got removed out. But even that, just the length of the apse, of the aisle that you walk down from the front door to the back of it, was 150 feet. And you go, how many squares is that? Oh, that's 30 squares. And that's just from the front door to the back. But then there's all the stuff around it and all the stuff beyond, all of the extra bits and pieces. So suddenly you have this titanic map. And you were talking about it earlier. Players can only move 30 feet in a single round.
Yeah.
And suddenly you've got 6 rounds just to run down
that would be my follow-up question. Are you treating, because it is a similar problem that I probably have with architecture, is that you have with scale. I think the answer is gamification, because what we do, the representation of what we do, is intended to be part of a game. So we actually have to translate the concept of scale into a gamified version of that
That's
structure.
right. Yeah.
Um,
Castle walls were 30-foot thick. I have never seen a map with a castle wall that's 30-foot thick. It's what is that? 6 squares, just as this big slab
yeah.
of wall.
Interestingly enough, if you remember, when you came visit us here in Vienna,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we looked at this Castle Liechtenstein here.
That's right.
That castle is the complete opposite, because if you want to map that, I sat down and I mapped it because I wanted to do a nice map of it for my players. It's completely useless because the rooms are so small, the walls are thick, and the corridors are so thin that it is from a real to game perspective, you have to throw out a bunch of those small chapels and niches and things that they put in there, because it is just useless to play on that map. So you have to transform it into something of a gamified version of it. But doing a one-to-one copy doesn't work. Yeah.
Absolutely. And on that front, just looking at, we'll have to do the raffle after our next interview, is looking at just how much space 3 feet actually is.
Yeah.
Because as you were saying, those narrow corridors, most of them don't have 5-foot wide corridors. And you go, but do I reprogram my entire mind to making accurate corridors, or to making Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition 5 square corridors?
No, I think the challenge is, and I want to Talon said something interesting here. I'm one of those terrible people who want to make a map that makes sense when you think of being used mundanely. Where do the staff go? How do the customers move through? I absolutely agree. That's actually something that I also spent my thoughts on, and I don't think that this contradicts what we're just talking about, because it's the first one is kind of the gamification of the map, which just, you have a game system and it follows certain rules. So you want to translate whatever you're doing into the game system. So you basically decide a narrow corridor, is that 5 feet? Because that's what a player would expect. Or is it 3 feet, which would then be difficult terrain? What's the legend? What's the kind of methodology that I use on defining those spaces? So a regular corridor would be probably 10 feet. Although this is nonsense for real life, it might be something that works as a kind of general rule when you start mapping. You still have to think, when you create the layout of something like that, you still have to think of other servants, how to move servants along the space to not run into the ambassador of give me what, who just visited. So are there servant pathways? Are there secret stairs? All those things make a lot of sense and they make a map interesting. But you still have to gamify them, I think.
Yeah. Lovely. Lord God, would you please join us for a chat? There you go. Thank you.
Was sort of head down there.
Absolutely. You're busy working on all sorts of interesting things there, making a platform for your throne or whatever. That looks like a throne to me. How are you feeling?
I'm stuck a little bit on the last prompt, the place of power. So that's what I'm trying to do now, but I can't put in. I'm trying to hit a certain target, and it's just not. It's not there yet.
It's not there yet. You've got an hour and 13 minutes left. You confident?
I mean, I'm confident I'll get this room done in an hour, 13 minutes.
Okay. Now you have the great experience of being here for a second time. What's your feeling in comparison to the last map battle that you fought? Do you feel more confident in your map? Do you feel more relaxed? Or
I think actually I feel less relaxed, and I think it's that in that time that passed since the last competition, everybody in the community has sort of gotten better at this, and so my opponent also got better, and now I'm just dealing with better opponents. So
Right.
yeah,
You
I'm
you are
less
dealing with
reliant.
your better.
But if all of your opponents have got better, it also means that you've got better.
That's
Yeah,
true.
you'd hope.
We'll see.
We
will see.
We shall see. Right. So, Till, any questions from you immediately, or shall I go to one of the ones I've got?
I'm not going to ask an additional question because I just want to remind you that you're going to have to tell us what the puzzle is going in the end, because I've been trying to figure out what the puzzle might be.
Oh, well,
whenever
not on
I
this
see your
level.
map. Yeah, I know. But whenever I have a chance, I'm looking at it. Is there, when you're looking at island, facility, aquatic creatures, chaotic evil, puzzle, different civilization, great power, which one is the one that troubles you most?
I think the facility is actually the part that I struggled with the most, because while I think I have a solid foundation there, I don't feel like I've sold it as well as I wanted to. So
Okay.
I'm sort of, while I'm doing all these other things now, I'm sort of thinking like, how can I make the facility more like a facility?
Do we have still time? I don't want to. I don't want to
1 minute.
keep 1 minute. Okay. So what classify? What is a facility to you? I think that's the question, right? When is a facility a facility?
Yeah, immediately when it was island and facility, I was like, great, I'll make a shipyard. And then they were aquatic creatures. It's like, well, they don't need boats. So I had to immediately start thinking of what else I was going to make. And the idea of a sort of a chaotic, evil forge sprang to mind. And I thought, well, if they're aquatic creatures, how are they going to use a forge? Oh, they'll have a swim up forge, right? It still has to be above ground because it's fire, but they can swim up and do their work there. So that was my facility idea.
yeah. But just from the perspective of definition, what's the definition of when becomes something a facility, right?
Yeah, I almost saw it like a factory or a place of work where people are going to come to and do some work. Or I mean, it could have been like an insane asylum or something like that as well. Like, facility just seems so vague and broad. It could have been anything.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. You can go, by the way, we don't keep you too long from map making, so please go back.
Yes, lovely. You can go back.
Sorry, just a minute.
Yep, you can switch back. Perfect. Absolutely. So I'll let Till pick up on his thoughts. We do have to do that raffle, because that raffle is still outstanding. Till, I was just reminding folks about that raffle. Let's do that raffle. Let's
quickly do it.
And then I want to talk about sword fighting inside small spaces, because the chat are having a blast with that conversation.
Okay, so again, we are doing the same thing as before. I think it is another membership of the annual subscription. DungeonFog is coming up, which means that if you want to win a 1-year DungeonFog Premium, all you have to do is type Battle Madness or Map Battle Madness into the chat right now. We will collect that for a minute or two, and then we will raffle it out. So if you want to do that, type Map Battle Madness into the chat, and we will see who is going to win it.
Yeah, good luck, folks, as Hellrock says. Absolutely. And if you have already won this evening, maybe hold back. Although it would make life a lot easier. It's like, okay,
if you've won the PDF, if you won the PDF, feel free to take part. I'm keeping an eye on who already won one. So to keep it fair for everyone.
Ooh. That's something. I'm just looking at what Incubus is doing there with the light. In version 6, will we have the ability to feather the edges of that light? You see how he's radialed it down, so it's just at an
angle. So I don't think I'm quite happy with what you can do at the moment. The thing is, we want to have something like certain post effects that you can put on props, like for example, as I said before, a blur would be such a post effect, which would mean that we probably would be able to do the same thing for lights. I don't know. So having something where you could blur them would probably be the equivalent of feathering out the edges. The more important thing that we want to do with lighting, which is actually quite difficult to do, is like directional lighting, because we actually have a point light source where you can adjust the masking radius for it. But having a straight light source, like a neon light bulb, for example, that emits light on a straight line, is actually quite difficult to do still. Yet this is something that we would be hoping to include in the next one, because one of the big things is that we're completely working the light rendering system. We're upgrading it and going to a better version, which hopefully then gives us more ray tracing abilities and, as for that matter, then probably better light sources. But generally speaking, there's a lot that we've learned in regards to light sources. The way that we're doing it right now, where you can turn every prop into a light source, but on the other hand, a prop has to be a light source, I think is not the best way. We thought it would be a good way when we started it. I think the way that, for example, Foundry is doing it right now is much better. We've implemented that now in the city map editor, that you actually have a dedicated tool that allows you to place light sources regardless of whether there is a prop or not. I think that makes more sense. So we're going to do that for the battle map editor in the future too.
Lovely.
All right.
Do we have a winner?
No, we don't. Sorry, I was chatting. So I have the submissions. So I'm going to add them now to my little random road thingy here. And while you entertain the audience,
so whilst Till is working on that one, I will point out that the charity event that has just been shared with the Streambot is unfortunately over. So if you had been pinning your hopes on attending and watching, unless you can go back in time, it's done. So thank you very much for all.
Oh, right. There's still. I don't know where to turn that off. I'll check that in a minute. We have a winner.
Yes, who's the winner?
Helen Embereye. Congratulations. You have won a 1-year subscription to DungeonFog. So all you need to do is send us an email. I'm going to copy that text over. I think it is somewhere there, still in there. Send us an email with your Twitch user name, and the quick note that it is the annual subscription to support@dungeonfog.com, and next week we will pick that up and you will get an answer from us with an activation code that grants you 1 year premium access to DungeonFog. So congratulations.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
And now I wanted to turn off, if I ever figure out where there's...
Okay. One door lies, the other tells the truth.
The puzzle.
There we go. Those doors are looking a lot more terrifying than they were a few moments ago.
Oh, that's a classic puzzle. I love it.
It's lovely, the little skulls on there. So, very interesting. I'm also watching very closely what Incubus is doing with some blurred lines and things. It's looking very interesting. This is obviously a technique. Till, do you find that, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but do you find that you kind of figure out something really cool to do in DungeonFog, you do it like 3 or 4 times, and then 3 months later you cannot for the love of life remember how the hell you did it?
No, I don't think so.
Because I think I've had to reinvent how I do water like 6 times. I'm like, yes, this is the perfect way to do it. And then I will months
Well,
later do a water map, and I'm like, oh, what did I do?
I
How
do
did
I do
it?
remember that I actually when we introduced those freehand grid brushes where you can do those kind of hand drawn grids.
Yes. You were super excited about those. I
I
remember
was
thinking,
so excited
hey,
about it
look at
because
this.
it visually it changes so much about the map. I personally think it became part of my new map style. Also with those hatchet
Hatches, yeah.
brushes. This is absolutely fantastic. However, with the grid, I was fighting with DungeonFog because I was like, I want to export it without grid. Why's the grid on it? Why's the grid on it? And then I'm like, right, it was a brush. So um it's one of those things that kind of grow over time into when you're developing a software into new methods that we can't keep up to updating our system because it would make much more sense if you would have that as a grid option instead of having to brush it. So yeah, that was one of the instances that I remember.
I like it. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go before we add in another element. It feels like we're doing this every 10 seconds, doesn't it? I don't know, maybe it's just me. But it's like, and another one, and another one. We've only just added in this last one. Okay, we've got 2 left to go. And in adding in this one, we will also be giving away a PDF to one of you. So hang around with us for that one. And that should be quite interesting. So I see Incubus is working on lighting right now. And Lord God is looking at more orc stuff, which is cool. So hopefully he's cracked that room. He did say that he was going to finish that room by the end of the hour. So he's got 20 seconds for the end of the hour. And I believe Incubus also said he was going to be finished with this level by the end of the hour. So he's got 9 seconds left. Whether that, of course, is helpful or not, I don't know. Don't think it is.
Thank you, Guy.
It is my absolute pleasure. Yes. So there you are. And something that I was, Hellrock agrees with you, Till. I absolutely love those grid brushes. Absolutely adore them. I do too. I think they do add a certain nice touch. So then you've got to think and say, okay, well, what would we do for sci-fi maps? So you should have a luminous green grid brush so that it can look like the edge of the hologram, right?
Well, honestly, I don't know, like, yeah, probably. I agree with you. If you had something like a Tron effect that you could put on the grid, that would actually be quite cool for cyberpunk or sci-fi maps. I do feel like that. I think I did that once for one of my games where I wanted to have a futuristic map in D&D. Like they were kind of my fantasy players were transported to kind of a space station. It was a bit of a meta game. It was a weird game. Didn't work out as I planned. However, I decided to emphasize this transition to use a hex grid for that certain because I don't know why, but I feel hex grid makes it more technologically weird. I don't know why. And yeah, but I agree. Giving some neon glow to the grid would be interesting.
Yeah, I often use the spell Minor Illusion to create the map topography because then it kind of you'd imagine it having this sort of magical shimmer about the whole thing. But we have distracted ourselves for exactly 2 minutes. That means that our map makers have had an extra 2 minutes of peace and calm. This is totally unfair. And so we're going to ask you to switch back to your normal screens, if you please, so that we can add in yet another thing to the thing. I shall ask the great D20 to roll for us. 12. of constant battle. Wow.
What?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
No one saw
that's
that coming. Of
brutal.
constant battle. A place of constant battle. Somewhere that is constantly being fought over. Any vetoes? Any vetoes?
God, I hope there is.
Incubus is hoping for a veto. Lord God, are you happy with a place of constant battle?
I mean, it's not the worst one.
It's not the
It's
worst,
not the worst one, but it's up there.
Well, oh dear. Okay, well, chat, so far one person is like, oh, that seems rough. But they're not vetoing, they're just saying, oh, that's tough. It's
Oh,
like,
thanks.
So we get the
So
first,
compassionate.
we get the first bribes in here. Benka now says, how much am I getting for a veto?
You get my love as
Ooh.
a support.
I will draw you a map.
We'll draw you a map. Wow.
Wow,
In which case, you get my veto.
Okay.
But I don't have, my veto doesn't count for anything, so I'm just the dice roller here.
So, tempting.
tempting,
Last chance to quickly type veto in the chat because I haven't seen a veto here. So I think we are going to lock it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Place of constant battle. You need a place of constant battle. Yeah, chat is silent. Silent. No vetoes coming through. So there we go. It is locked down, a place of constant battle.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
A place of constant battle. Where is a place of constant battle in your map? Or on your map, I should say. And before we forget, whilst our two map makers continue making their map, let's do that raffle quickly, Till.
Huh? Oh, sorry. Yes, my bad.
All right,
apparently I was just editing. I was super confused because I quickly updated the slide, and then I went back to my raffle sheet to make sure that I have Talon in there. And I was adding Talon, and then I was like, but wait, why are you telling me that there's another raffle? But yeah, we were a bit short on the raffle before.
That's right.
So the next one is the PDF, right?
This is the PDF. That's
so
correct.
If you haven't had the PDF yet and you want to get the PDF of, if you don't know what we're talking about, the book that Guy and I have been writing, the PDF is ready. It's called The Creator's Guide to Epic Locations, and it's going to hopefully help you enhance, create awesome, epic, amazing locations for your games. If you want to have that, this PDF version of it, then now type Map Battle Madness into the chat and we will do the raffle for this one.
Right, Hellwarrock, straight out the gate. Don Hyena says, the secret island facility hideout ain't so secret anymore. Well, no, not if it's a place of constant battle.
Not if it's a place of constant battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that will be interesting to see what they do and how they add that to the whole thing. 54 minutes remaining of this challenge. And
Also, I can see more people typing. Just a quick reminder: if you can participate in both raffles. Even if you already had something, it's totally fine. You can participate in both raffles. The only thing that I would rule out is if you already have one of the things that you already want. So if you already have a subscription, you're not getting a second one. I would drop you out of that list. Or if you already got the PDF, I would drop you out of the list. But feel free to add your name in there if you think that would be nice.
I do like the option that this place could still be a place of secret. It could still be a secret lair if it is a place of constant secret battle. Ninja battles.
Ninja battles.
Ninja battles would be amazing. Ninja battles are always awesome. All right, folks, you can switch back for us, please, so we can have a look and see what you are doing with your glorious.
Okay. I think we've got all the votes in, so I'm going to
absolutely
quickly do the magic. Also, I think it's getting much more difficult now if you have the breeding ground in there, because if it's a place of constant battle and still breeding ground, it might be of an extinct species.
It could very well be. Although, to be perfectly honest with you, I just have been rewatching Star Trek Enterprise, and they came across a crashed starship on a planet that there was lots of, battle happened there eventually, but it was a breeding ground. So quite an interesting little episode for those of us that had watched lots of Star Trek. It was like, oh, we know what this episode's about, but still a fun episode anyway. But breeding ground, yeah. Well, let's see what those last numbers are.
So I have a winner. The Dice Gods have decided that the PDF book version goes to Gaming Uncle Eerie 69. Congratulations.
Uncle Eerie 69. Congratulations, the PDF.
So, congratulations. And again, if you want to receive the PDF, because winning is just step 1, getting it is step 2, please send an email to support@dungeonfog.com. Tell us, please, just so that that I'm being reminded of, tell me your Twitch name and tell me that it's about the raffle and the book that you have won. And next week, we are going through all the emails that we've received, and we're handing out the PDFs as well as the annual subscriptions.
Really?
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
You don't say.
both
LG,
just-
Oh, you both had the same
just
idea.
Added the same item, completely unconscious of each other. What prop is that? I don't
It's
recognize.
called Monster from Ice and Snow.
Yeah, I love it. It's such an amazing thing that you could put in water or you could put beneath ice. That's how Tony created it, because it is a monster that comes up from the depth and jumps kind of towards the ice. So it might be frozen in ice or it might be beneath the waves coming up. It is such a creepy thing.
I love it. I love it. That leads me to another question that I have for you, Till. How many hours do you spend on making maps in DungeonFog on a weekly basis for your games?
That's a good question. If I would break it down, I would say probably 2, maybe 3 hours per week. But it's not regular. So typically I know where my players are story-wise and how much I have already prepped. So when they approach a new section of the story, for example, they leave the current region and travel into a new region, or they're changing the plot into something new that's coming up, then I'm spending a lot more time on it, because I'm trying to do the regional map of the environment, of the region that they're in. I'm trying to do the important city maps or town or village maps that I want to have. And then I kind of go down into the story and create a map of the ruins that they might find or the underground layer that they might find, depending on, I already know what I want to have in the story, which is much more time intense. So it can happen that I spend a whole day just doing maps, because I'm super creative at the moment and hyped, and I want to do all those things. So I need to get them out of my system. And then there might be 6 weeks, 8 weeks where I'm not doing a lot. I'm just adjusting to their decisions. So they decide that they had an interesting random roll, and I feel like, okay, I need to create a little side quest for this. So I want to have maps for that. So It's an up and down, but generally speaking, if you break it down, I would say I probably spend about 2 to 3 hours per week on map making.
Yeah, that's about right. I probably spend between 4 and 5 hours making a map, and then my players will spend either a day, one session in that map.
Yeah,
They won't go anywhere near the map, in which case I save it for another
or
one.
later. Yeah,
Or in some cases, I made a library map where I was trying to do that cross bridges thing. And what I did was I did 4 bridges going to a central platform.
Yeah.
And then I made that entire thing as a folder. I duplicated it,
Mm-hmm.
rotated it slightly, and then added a dark layer in between. And you only do that 4 or 5 times, and then you eventually end up with just black at the very center. But I was very happy with the map. My players spent, I want to say, at least 12 hours on that map. Wow. Not really exploring the map, and so much as it was also a library. So they were doing lots of research and that sort of thing. So the map was constantly up. But I think that's probably the longest time that I've had players continuously on the same map.
It's what I call time sync rooms. You can purposefully create, like, especially if you know that you need like me, if you know that you need to create a big city that is coming up in the next probably 2 or 3 sessions, and you really don't have the time right now to deal with that, libraries, catacombs, things with a lot of sarcophagus in there are great time sync maps, because if players have to open a lot of books, open a lot of crates, open a lot of stuff, you can kind of use those to actually time manage the time on the table.
Interesting. I haven't ever thought of it like that. I was actually at the point where I was like, if I blow up this library, they might leave. But they were having a blast. So there you are. Right. Bankanau 81, obviously a fellow trekker out there, because yes, that was the Zindi egg episode where Captain Archer suddenly started to look after eggs. Just to sidetrack way back to that alien crash ship and the hatchery that I was talking about a lot earlier. Right, we are now going to ask Incubus, can you switch and join us for a chat, please?
Sure.
Right, so how's it going? How are you feeling?
So the map is done. Now I just have to make it pretty.
Oh.
You think there's still a challenge left?
Well, yeah, there's still a challenge left. I saved some space for it just in case. I think I'm good. You said a place of constant battle and a place of power. And I was like, all right, I'm saving the place of power, and now I knew what to do with it. So I put it on a magical portal area that has a constant source of these beasts coming in, and these other beasts that are killing and eating humans are also kind of trying to deal with these other guys that are trying to mark in on their space. And that's kind of the idea here.
What you're telling us is that you really hope that the next and final edition will be another plane bleeds into it, because then you're like,
that would be perfect. I would have to do anything. I would be done. Cool. We're good.
Mouse drop, walk away, hit the save
button.
Yeah,
have a good one. See you in 2 weeks.
Fantastic. Till, have you got any immediate questions? Otherwise, I got a few.
Can you? I lost track on where you are. Could you switch back and give us a quick zoom out, so that I can
focus on the map? Sure.
Yeah. I would like to have a look at the map. Okay, so that's the portal area, obviously.
Yes.
That's the underground layer that we're looking here. So this is beneath the
correct.
Ground
if we were to go up to the top floor, we have this resort little place. Sorry, Lord God, you can see I'm kind of leaning back and relaxed now. Resort people come in from the helicopter expecting a nice 5-star vacation resort. They get full course dinner, built-in pools, individual rooms, all the whole shebang. the thing that we all dreamed of having at some point.
Mm.
The only issue is every night someone goes missing, and it's hard to go missing on an island, so you kind of wonder what's going on. Um, Eventually, I have the puzzle that there's a mystery of bloody subterfuge down below, and you'll notice that the pool has a little drain here, and there's a
Mhm.
well little right here, and both of these should at some point I'm going to fix that connect
Uh-huh.
to down below, and I'm totally done with that. I'm just going to fix that real quick.
Um, so my question would be to you, when I look at how you design or how you design those specific areas, you're someone, I've noticed that there are kind of two types of map designers. The one are leaning towards a lot of clutter, a lot of detail, a lot of minimalistic stuff that they add. And then we have those who basically fall back to 1, 2, or 3 characteristic assets to define a space. How would you see yourself in the second type of area? Are you someone who likes to clutter stuff?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think I like to do both. What would you say I lean towards?
Well, looking at the map right now, I would say you're using the minimum required assets to describe the scene, right? So if you look at a room, you have the bed, you have the yeah, and here's it's a bit different because when you go down, there's a lot more stuff. So the question,
There it goes. All right, we're good.
so I don't know. I would. What are you leaning to? You can, by the way, switch back to the full view.
Sure. So this happens with a lot of my maps, is I try and add details as I go, but for the most part, my main focus is the rooms, the stories, the structures, and the path that my table goes through as they explore it. Obviously, my table might not be playing this, but I still have the idea of from a spectator of the tourists. What are they going to see as they go in? Find out that there's something else going on, and then they progress through this area, through this dungeon, and find out this mystery and how are they going to solve it. And once I have that layout down, then I start going back in and adding more and more and more and more details.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I know, Till, you once said to me you don't like my maps because I like to clutter.
Yeah, because I'm
years
someone
ago, by the way, folks. So
yeah.
you were like, yeah, I think your maps are too busy. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, fine.
Shut up, Till. I feel like that's very much a graphic design thing that I learned and I tried to incorporate in my work is that it's a medium that tries to transport a message, right? So when you look at a map, you want your players to understand what they need to do, which means that whatever you put on the map will be interpreted of something interactable.
Perhaps, but before you continue that thought, Incubus, thank you. You can switch
Yeah,
back.
you can switch back. And it's about attention management when you try to keep the attention. I feel like it's important to do the minimum. It's the same with logo design, right? When people talk about logo design, it's always reduced to the max because the lesson is you have to look at it, and on first sight you have to understand what is required from you. What are people expecting from what they see? So if you start to clutter things up too much, it might be an overload of things, and it might actually go away from what you're actually aiming for. They might it's going to be much more complicated to manage the attention. Now, on the other hand, that is dependable on what you want to achieve in that room, because if you do a treasure hoard room where piles and piles of gold and stuff is in there, you want to clutter it because the idea is that there's so much in there that it might take some time to loot through it or search for something. Whereas if you have a bedroom and it is of no substance to your story, it's just a bad room, then why put so much stuff in there? Because it will end up with players looting it, or suspecting that something important is in there.
I don't know about the players necessarily, but I certainly can attest to the fact, having played Baldur's Gate 3 now for 10,000 years, when you run into a room and there's crates, you're like, oh my goodness, this is going to take me so long to go through every single crate, because I will find that one chunk of cheese and send it back to the base. So yeah, I do think though that you are spot on. Sometimes adding in the superfluous detail really
well,
is
I do remember that one of the things that really freaked me out when I was running the Curse of Strahd games from the old Curse of Strahd. I have never played it with the revised book, but with the old D&D 5e Curse of Strahd, the one from 2016, there were so many maps who had empty rooms. So it was just an empty storage, but it still got a description box, a read aloud, where you're like, okay, this is probably the 14th empty room on my map, not on the same map, of course, but spread out throughout the whole campaign, that has something like, this old spider-webbed dusty room contains nothing but a bucket and a broom. And you're like, well, okay, thank you, but what's it for? Even to some degree, there should be empty rooms, because they are part of like making things more believable. Not every room has a function per se, or is high important on function that it needs to get a read aloud and be decorated. If you just do a bucket in there or a crate, it's a good room, right?
Yeah, if it's abandoned, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, I agree.
Right, but if it's not abandoned, or if you look at it throughout the whole campaign, you start to wonder why do you even add, from an architectural standpoint, why do you even add that room if it adds nothing to the game?
Yes. Well, so I was at Lumley Castle last week, and in our gaming room there was this curtain, and if you pulled the curtain back, there was a set of spiral stone steps leading up into the dark. And I looked at that and I went to my players, given my knowledge of the castle, which, having spent a couple of times there now, I would say is pretty good. I was like, these stairs technically lead underneath one of the great rooms, but I'm not going up those stairs because I have no idea where it leads. Well, two of my players were adventurers in the proper sense, grabbed their cell phones, turned the torches on, and disappeared up the staircase. And we were like, okay, how long do we give them before any of us go call someone to go find them? Because I ain't going up a staircase. Anyway, within seconds they had returned, and all it did was it wound up to this wooden door that had been nailed shut. And we're like, this is a 500-year-old castle with a set of stairs that have been hidden behind a curtain, and there's a nailed shut door. There is not enough money on the planet to pay me to open that door. There is something nailed inside there. And
really?
There,
I
right?
would have been the first one who's like, okay, here's a crowbar. Let's go. Let's figure out what's behind that.
What is behind the door? The sad truth is, what is behind the door is Victorian architects coming in and changing this 500-year-old castle, changing that into a more lavish room above it, and just bricking over the door on the other side. Because we tried to work out where it came from, right? So that is also something that I think it comes back to what you were talking about before, gamification. There is, in a castle that is 500 years old, there are going to be rooms that are literally just dead ends because someone decided that they didn't need it, so they just walled it off, or that they wanted the room to be smaller or warmer.
Yeah.
Or, and you look at that and the players will go mad trying to get through that door
Also,
to
I
get
think
to a wall.
if you have if you have a layout and you end up with the question of, I don't know what to put in that room. I have that room now, but I don't know what to do with it. You can always count on laziness, because people are lazy. And I'm not talking about you as a map maker. I'm talking about the people who live in that environment, and they hate to actually bring their stuff away. So instead of carrying that heavy chair out of my castle and throw it out somewhere, I would rather put it in that empty room and lock the door.
Absolutely. So there you are. Chat saying, well, sometimes you just need somewhere to hide a skeleton or two. That's so very true. Very, very true. We have got 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining until the final challenge and the final raffle.
Don't worry, Lord God. It's not the end. It's just the final challenge coming up.
It's the final challenge.
I saw that spark of panic in your eyes.
Yeah. 31 minutes until it's over. So, yeah. Let's see what's happening there. Incubus, I don't know if you've got a download happening in the background, but we've got some digital interference going on in your stream. It's all good. Keep going. Keep working. We'd hate for it to just...
Yeah, I think it's probably just...
Yep. Okay. 1 minute remaining. I'm going to switch back. I'm going to switch back to the rules, and we can see which ones we think would be the worst ones for them currently to have. Pirates. Adding pirates. Would pirates do a thing? I mean, it's an island, so it's kind of like an easy one, right?
I think whatever it is, at this stage of map making, you have your concept, you have your idea, you have the story that unfolds in your head. There is a good chance that by luck, something in there might fit your narrative, but the risk is much higher that whatever comes now is going to completely mess up whatever is coming there. Because full of pirates, yeah, okay. I don't see that as a big challenge.
No.
Used as breeding grounds, I don't see that as a big challenge too. I think because of the way that both created their maps, it might be easy to have breeding grounds in there. The traps, well, traps is always difficult because how do you visualize a trap apart from?
Yeah, I normally just do ballista bolts and some gears and a passageway.
The infestation might be a problem. I think that would be quite mean.
Yeah. Chat is saying definitely shaped by the elements.
Yes, that would have been also something that I would quite fear at the moment, because
nature has taken over, number 7.
Yeah, I think nature, that wouldn't scare me too much. But we will see, because I think it's time to roll on it.
Let's roll and let's see what happens.
No.
Stand by for it, and it is...
Switch back to your full screens.
Number 2.
Ew.
I can't see the dice is on it.
Oh, we can't see. The dice is on it.
I'll get rid of the dice. And it is... breeding grounds. Right. Breeding grounds. What do we think, chat? Breeding grounds?
You want to see breeding grounds? Give them an easy one for the exit. Or do you want to have more challenge?
Veto if you don't. Oh, Hellrock says veto. Veto. Yeah. Lazarus says, I just joined. Seems easy. Lazarus, veto straight off the bat. Okay. Well, 2 vetoes? Is that enough to veto?
I think it's enough.
Okay. Here we go. Second roll. This is the one that we accept. Number 16. A place of worship. All right.
Okay.
You have to have a place of worship.
There needs to be a place of worship.
Yeah. Your map needs a place of worship. Place of worship. So, could have been worse. A place of worship. Somewhere that is very specifically A space for worship. Space for worship. Okay. Well, it sounds good, says Salt Levels Max. I absolutely agree. Place of worship is fun. It's not overly complicated. It could have been worse. Infested. Nature's taken over. Shaped by the elements was another one that people identified as being potentially very difficult. And on that note, Till, you have got the last raffle.
The last raffle is up.
1 year membership.
So if you want to have a 1 year membership, and you've just recently joined, the other ones know the procedure already. This is your chance to win a 1 year membership of DungeonFog Premium. All you have to do is type Map Battle Madness into the chat, and I will then pick from all the contestants and have my lucky roll randomizer run over it and see who's going to walk away with 1 year of annual subscription. So now is your chance. Type Map Battle Madness into the chat, and we will pick someone out.
This is Battlesource says, when your name is Lord God, everywhere is a place of worship. It's not that easy. Not that easy. Not that easy. Speaking of which, we'll be chatting with Lord God in under 10 minutes to get his final thoughts just before the end. 26 minutes remaining. You folks can switch back to your maps, please. Switch back to your maps so we can see what you guys are working on. Wow. Things
Guy,
have changed.
you can also switch the scene so we can all see it.
Yeah, things
Thank
have
you.
changed. Lord God's like,
Yeah.
I got a place of worship. Watch this. Booyakasha.
So for the rest of the chat, last chance, add in your Map Battle Madness into the vote. Otherwise, I will take the submissions and roll on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
These assets for later. These are nice assets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the orc assets.
The orc assets.
Absolutely,
yeah. And the
absolutely.
Dragon.
Brilliant.
Orc.
Yeah.
I was looking at these cosmic horror. This cosmic horror altar looks amazing. It's got glow.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's absolutely. I remember when I sat down with Tony and we thought about the cosmic horror set. We actually were both thinking of the there's a movie. I only know the German title, unfortunately. It's with Al Pacino being the devil.
The Devil's Advocate.
The Devil's Advocate, right. And there is this twisting image, like it's kind of a fresco that sits behind his office desk. And we were both like, this is what we need in there. This must be the inspiration for the altar and all the other stuff in there. All right, I am locking down the votes, the submissions here, and I'm going to roll on them in a second.
Yeah, that
also,
film, Al Pacino, Keanu Reeves, and Charlize Theron, or Theron, depending on how you pronounce it. It was the start of the big rumors that Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron were going to have an affair of some kind, or were having an affair, because she had also been in another film of his. Oh, and the name completely escapes me. It was about free energy, and it had Morgan Freeman as the scientist discovering hydrogen as free energy, and of course all the madness that ensues with that. So we've got just under 23 minutes.
Yes,
and
we have
seconds.
a winner, and the winner is Salt Levels Max. Congratulations.
Oh. There we go.
You
Salt
have.
Levels Max.
I'm copying you over right now into my little list. You have won annual membership of DungeonFog Premium. And as a quick reminder, to actually claim this, so you have won it, now you need to get it, is send an email. I'm going to post it right now into the chat. Send an email with your Twitch username to support@dungeonfog.com, and please remind me that it's about the annual subscription. Next week we are going to collect all those emails and we're going to hand out the activation codes for those who got the memberships, and the PDFs for those who got the books. Congratulations, guys. So, and following on what I wanted to say before, Lord God Incubus, with 20 minutes left, this is now the time to think about, to revisit the map, kind of do the final touches, but also think about how is someone who was not watching the stream reacting to the map on the voting. Is it self-explanatory, or do you want to add some infos to people who see this map, see the challenges, and need to vote on whether or not your map is the best map, is the winning map?
Absolute silence. So like, well, I could lie and say, "Oh no, thanks Till for that great advice. I'll take it under consideration," or just, "Till, I do not have any time for your shenanigans."
Yeah, shut up, Till. They love it.
Of course,
it's so self-explanatory. It's fine.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Place of worship absolutely works with the concept I had in my head already, says Talron Amberai. There you go. There you go. Forecaster 71 says, to claim your prize, you must travel to Mordor and find the customer service department. So Minas Morgul, I think, or perhaps Ungul. But yes, so...
yeah, but only if you filled out the right form. Like that, you have to actually grab somewhere else, right?
Yes, absolutely. Dear, oh dear. There was an
if it's not signed by Tom Bombadil, you will not get it approved.
Get it. Yeah, there we go. There you go. Okay, so Till, I've asked you a couple of questions. I've got some more here that I can throw at you. Just out of mild curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the first map that you built in DungeonFog? And in your case, it would have been with one of the prototypes.
Yes.
Do you remember?
I do remember. I do remember, and it was the first map that I ever did was a villa, like a mansion in what was it called? The second village in Barovia. It's not Kresk. It hasn't been Kresk. It has Vallaki. In Vallaki, there was a mansion that were, well, whatever the story was, they had to beat up the mansion owner and kind of get something from them. I think they had to prevent some riots that might be happening in Vallaki. And I wanted to have this mansion. I found a map on Pinterest, I think, that was okayish, but it was lacking the rooms that I needed. So the prototype was very early in its stage. And I remember this map because it was the first map where I was using the prototype and the result was better than it was actually usable. I said, okay, I can use this map and I do not feel bad. I don't have to recreate the map in Photoshop, which I really hated because Photoshop is not a good tool for map making. And I don't have to use the map that someone else did that not fits my narrative. So that was the first map that I did. It was a mansion in Vallaki for a Curse of Strahd game.
I'm hearing that Curse of Strahd is featured heavily in your early years.
Well, so yes, because we started with, so I the way that we started was, I think it was 2016 or 2015. We were all watching independently from each other. We didn't know, we just learned about each other that we were watching Critical Role. And we said, okay, we want to have an office game. We want to play that too. And we initially started with Pathfinder. Because I bought the German Pathfinder rules and the I forgot the adventure. The big one, Rise of the something gods thingy. And and we hated the rule set. It was so complicated. It was so complicated. And then I said, okay, I'm actually watching something like Crit Roll, and everyone was like, yeah, we know that. We know D&D. And I was like, why didn't we then start with D&D, guys? Why don't we do D&D? And I wanted to play it in a completely new world. I tried to translate Golarion into 5th edition and kind of make a complete own story out of it. And I soon realized that I'm just, as a beginner's DM, I'm just not up to it. It's too much lore. I can't think of all of those things. It's stressing me out. So I saw good reviews on the recently published Curse of Strahd, and I grabbed that. And that was where we actually kind of learned our footing and learned. That's where our story as a gaming group and me as a game master starts. That's why I'm talking a lot of Curse of Strahd, because it's just, I think the first game you've ever played and finished will live forever in your mind.
Oh yes. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There you go. Well, right. Now, I'm assuming those maps are not available in the community hub, but that would be more for copyright issues than anything else, wouldn't it? Or
yes. So if it's like it's a bit of a gray zone, right? From a community perspective, it would be fan art. If a community member creates a map for Curse of Strahd and shares that map, it would be arguably still something that the user has created for themselves and shares. However, me as an employee and head of the company, if I would do that, it most likely would fall into copyright infringement. So although I have those maps, if they are based on a Curse of Strahd official map, it's a policy where we say we don't publish that. Then we don't make it official in the community hub.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's fair.
50 minutes left.
When you made maps for me when I was doing the Ghost of Saltmarsh stream, we weren't allowed to publish the official maps, but any maps that we had made up, we were published. And you made that beautiful Kraken map. I will never forget
it was
that Kraken map. I went to Till and I said, Till, you need to make in DungeonFog a giant undead octopus Kraken as a map. And you freaked out. No, that wasn't the one that you freaked out about. The one that you freaked out about was when I said, make me a map that's a horizontal view, not a top-down view. But you did, and it was great.
And it is one of the, I very much enjoy those underwater maps that it's kind of, it has become a habit that my underwater maps are horizontal. So it's not the flat look, but it's kind of, so when you move the grid, you actually move up and down, and it's not about death. And my players love it because it's playing so much with the darkness that you dive into and the pressure that you kind of feel the deeper you go.
Not that 5th edition has pressure, but yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated because I literally did like a 5,000 meters under the sea sort of deal the other day, and going down like side view, I never would have thought of that. That's so smart.
Well, yeah, I think I asked you for it because they had to go down and fetch something, and if they went too far down, they would wake up a thing, or it was just fun. It was just fun. But on that, Lord God, can you join us for a little chat, please? The last chat before the end. So how's it going?
That's I'm having like the last minute panic of like making sure that things are the way that I want them to be. So I think it's going well. I'm pretty happy with where the map is now. Like I'd be happy to share this and use this in my game and stuff.
Fantastic.
I think I think it's looking good. We're not going to keep you long because I can see that you still have some unfinished business there. So make sure that you use your last 12 minutes, probably you will have when we let you go. Guy, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. What's your favorite color on a map, Lord God?
My favorite color on the map? Red.
On any map. Your
on any map
that you use.
I really like to use. I like to set ambient light to be spooky. So I like things to be purples and greens and not always necessarily like a defined light source to do that.
Yeah.
So there's just like an eerie glow to the place. Even though narratively it might be pitch black dark, making sure that my players know that they where to go, light things with purples and greens and just have I find eerie often lends itself easily to atmosphere. And so those are the colors I go with.
Yeah, fantastic.
Don't be cruel, guy. Let him go. Come on, 12 minutes left.
I'm just. It's 5 minutes each, and Incubus, he lost his 5 minutes, although he seems very cool about the whole thing. So then, right, just my last question for you is: do you believe that you need to have artistic skill in order to make a good-looking map?
No, I think it helps, but no, I'm no artist. So being able to use a tool like this, where it sort of is such a helping hand, then this is the way to do it if you don't really have any artistic skill. So no, I don't think so. And I think the majority of making a map really is the storytelling and not necessarily the artistic part. So
very true. All right, on that, I'll let you go. You can switch back, please.
Still, I have found one major flaw with DungeonFog.
Yes, sir.
Incredible oversight. Like, I cannot believe how this went under the radar. Where are the rubber duckies?
You are absolutely right. We don't have a rubber duck in
We don't
there.
have a rubber duck?
No, we don't.
What pool is complete without a rubber
But
ducky?
you know, I mean, you're playing in the top league here. So I can tell you that there is a tool that can circumvent that, and it's called the shape tool.
Shape tool.
You want to make a rubber ducky in a 3-hour pressure?
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that in 5 minutes. No.
10 minutes.
If we had custom assets.
Yeah, you could quickly upload one. Yeah. No custom assets.
No custom assets. I'll give it to Lord God. Does that work? We can both have a rubber ducky somewhere.
I don't know.
I do feel till like the next map battle madness, the random table, maybe one of those items should include a rubber duck. And just watch how people try and figure out how to use a rubber duck.
Exactly.
But make sure not to add a rubber ducky.
I was thinking in the same line. I wanted to hear if you say and we include a rubber duck, or if you say we don't, and they have to actually figure out how to do that.
Make one. Yeah.
Oh, that
would be hilarious.
That's so funny. Oh,
it's so mean.
Very, very mean. 9 minutes.
This is the third time though I looked for a rubber duck and completely forgot that it doesn't exist though. I always wanted to add a rubber duck. Whenever I make a pool, I have to, and I never get a chance. Get on that, Till.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A rubber duck.
A rubber duck and dinosaurs. So
and dinosaurs.
And
that
dinos,
would be pretty cool. This is Incubus's random crap to add pack.
Yeah, it's going to be the Incubus pack, and just one rubber duck.
Just one rubber duck. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I don't know what else to add. I think I'm good.
You think you're good?
That's your call. Are you sure?
I can't.
I hate that when my teachers did that to me. Whenever I was like finishing my math test early, for example, and I was like, I think I'm good, and my teacher was, "Are you sure?" And then you start second guessing. I was like,
the problem is I was good like 30 minutes ago, and I just kept adding and adding and adding. I don't know what else to add. I think the story is told here.
If the story's told, the story's told. Have you hit all of the required items?
Could you remind me of the list?
Sure. You need to have an island. Check. The function facility, species, aquatic creatures, alignment, chaotic evil. So far, so good. Now, do you have a puzzle?
I do have a puzzle.
Is somewhere a different civilization?
Yes.
Do you have great power?
Yes.
A place of great power?
Yes.
A place of constant battle?
Correct.
And a place of worship?
Yes. So we're good. We're
So
good.
you're good.
All right. There you are. You've got 7 minutes and 52 seconds to just relax.
I'm just gonna dance and gloat while Lord God
Are you-
struggles.
Okay, there you go. Just saying, do you remember that you can, if you like, think about lighting or adding special filters? Because we have on the stage, we have those filters that you can add. The question is, I'm just saying, the question is, with 7 minutes left, what could be added? Because the community is going to look at the maps and they have to decide who is going to be the new Fogmaster, the winner of the Map Battle Madness 2023, and is going to have to defend the title.
Didn't you say that? Because I have one asset that I've been holding on the back burner ever since I found it. Like someone made this a long time ago. And it's a beautiful, beautiful lens flare, but I've never had a chance to actually properly use it. So, one of these days, can't use it now because that's a saved asset.
Yeah, I think that Bodhi did that for the Dune map.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was by Bodhi.
Yeah.
It's really impressive how they kind of just took a lens flare and transitioned it into a 2D effect. I'm just like, that is so good. I have to save it, but I'll never understand when to use it.
Chat is saying, a GM just asked you, are you sure? This is the most dangerous question in the game.
That is it. That is a question. As someone who I have to ask that sometimes. I know the weight of those words.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I genuinely don't know what else to add.
My players often say there are two distinct indications that there might be about to die soon, and that is one, if I'm looking surprised and I kind of instinctively ask, "Oh, are you sure?" And the second one is if NPCs suddenly start to voice a concern. Those are the two indications that they might be running into troubles.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Well, in that case, since you've got time on your hands, which is absolutely fine, what was your first DungeonFog map, Incubus?
Oh, that would be the Forest Road, because I just wanted a generic road as my first battle map. Because this was like what 4.5 years ago, where I was just starting with D&D and battle maps, and it ended up being the most liked map on the site.
Yeah, it is.
Which is
it actually
so
is.
strange.
The Forest Road got so many likes and it has been cloned so often that it is in the constant. It is the highest ranked map probably in regards.
It's
to
probably
likes.
because it's the highest map that it's going to stay that it's going to be the highest map because everybody sees it first.
Yeah. But it's a good map. That's also a good reason. It is the perfect random encounter forest road map, and it's something that you will always need for a game.
You always need forest maps.
Yeah,
and I do enjoy doing outside and nature a lot. I really end up doing forest or jungle probably too often because I just like doing nature and a lot of green and vibrant. Bring out a map a lot.
When DungeonFog added in that ability to multi-select props and then just click and place them down with random rotation and random scale, oh wow. Jungles just became so much easier. Forest just became so much easier.
I personally think that the new textures and brushes and backgrounds, they made such a big change on the visual of creating the maps, which now for the first time I've been for the epic locations, the maps that I've been doing, I've enjoyed them a lot. It was a lot of fun doing them, and they're all outdoor maps. So I can't wait to actually have V6 and with the new way to render rooms, because I think they now are in the need of being upgraded and follow suit to the aestheticness of what we do. Someone decided to add light sources quickly.
3 minutes remaining. 3 minutes remaining. So we shall see. We shall see. Don't forget to save. Yeah, that can be a thing. All right. And folks, just a reminder, if you did win any of the raffles this evening, please don't forget to send that email to support@dungeonfog.com so that the team can make sure that you get your prizes. And
yes.
So that is
also, if you haven't been aware of, or if you missed our anniversary stream that took place last Sunday, the VOD is available on YouTube, and especially when we have been chatting about things that are happening at the moment, and we've been chatting about things that we're planning to do in the future. When you look at it and look at the stuff that is coming up, you will be quite excited because there is a lot of stuff. Like if I can name it from the top of my head, it is November the 30th, launch of the Deus City Map Maker beta. This is already the official beta of the City Map Maker, end of November. Before Christmas, December the 20th, the asset manager, the new asset manager and the new asset management system will go live. In Q1, we don't know this is happening. Andy is going to pick that up once the asset manager is ready. We are going to add Sirenscape sound integration, and we are going to add ChatGPT integration to create read aloud prompts based on the rooms that you draw, based on the setting that you pick. So if you're interested to see what that means and what is coming next until the end of the year and the beginning of next year, have a look at the anniversary stream on YouTube. We also had quite a fun experiment where we tried together to figure out what the perfect game is.
30 seconds.
Exactly. And if you are currently in a stream trying to finish a map, you are now having only 15 seconds left before you need to press the save button. I see the hands up from Lord God. He's finished. He's done nothing to do in less than 5 seconds. Lord God is done. Incubus.
2, 1.
Hands up. Done.
Time
Please,
is up.
Ladies and gentlemen, press the save button. Make sure that you save the map and zoom out a little bit on both of your maps so that we can get a better view.
There we go.
Well done
from the chat.
The one thing I always do that I completely forgot this time. Custom grid.
Custom grid. Oh, right. Yeah.
That hurts. That hurts a lot. That's the one thing I always do. How did I forget it?
Okay. Let's start with the acting champion. Why don't you walk us through your map?
Sure. Well, as you can see, it's an island. For the facility, it is a forge, and for chaotic evil, it is just seething with evil energy from all of the built up orc stuff that's been there, because they're the previous civilization to have owned this facility, but it's been co-opted by the aquatic creatures who have turned it into a swim up forge. So they come up through this tunnel here because there's actually no entrance there. The original door is on the outside. And then as far as our place of great power, there's this room of worship to whatever evil god this is, the fountain of blood where the weapons are enchanted at this hideous altar. Then for a place of constant battle, this large monster has made the entrance to the aquatic people's entrance to this place its lair, and so it is in constant fights with the manta rays that are just outside the door, trying to feed on anything around here. And this room actually is the puzzle area One door leads to the upstairs. The other door leads to this what I've labeled as really mean ball, sphere of annihilation. I think probably something like that. But the puzzle here is that one door lies, the other tells the truth. So the talking doors, you can only go through one of them. So you have to decide which one. And the clever observer will notice that this door has fallen down onto the ground, so it is lying there. So
oh, nice.
So clearly, this is the truthful door. And have I missed anything now? I think that's all the
place of worship.
Yep. No. Go back to the upper floor,
Sure.
because that was my question too. So did you do a distinct differentiation between the place of great power and the place of worship, or is that one place?
Yeah, I combined them because it's actually like where it's the enchantment room. I've labeled it weapon enchantment room. So the great power is added to the weapons here, but you do it by worshiping this evil god.
Okay, so the weapons get great power by worshipping the gods. Okay, I hope that the community is not going to punish you for that. Incubus, you're laughing, but let's talk about your map.
Let's not. All right. What would you like to know?
Tell us about your map. Talk us through the points that you hope have hit. So, it's an island.
Yep, it is in fact island shaped. So the concept was island, fish people, and at that point I heard those. I was like, I couldn't figure anything out because I was like, okay, why are fish people going onto an island? That doesn't make any sense. And then you heard chaotic people. I'm like, cool, they could just kill people going on the island. So the concept was to have a resort home where they lure in tourists and travelers, pull them from underneath the pool, and then butcher them, eat them, and then serve them to the rest of the guests. After that, I was like, all right, let's just have some fun with this. So there was, of course, like coal storage. I named this place the kitchen, like pointing to it, but I can't really point to it. I named this one the kitchen proper because I put this kitchen over here. That's like the facade kitchen that the tourists see. Kitchen.
Right.
And of course, there's this place of power has this monstrous portal that leaks these creatures in constantly, and being these aquatic evil as beasts themselves, they're able to kind of constantly push that back within an endless war, I would say. And then I guess there are some people who, rather than eat the humans or whoever the guests are, would rather experiment on them, which leads to the experimentation room. That's how I hit both of those markers. Originally, I was also going to have this altar here be the place of worship, but I was like, a place of power and a place of worship and a council battle all at once kind of feels cheating. Just putting, a place of power and a place of worship together kind of feels cheating. So I instead put a small altar for the guests up here.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
See.
So is there, you already said that, Ink, that you forgot to add the custom grid.
I usually like to... Sorry.
Yeah, don't worry. Lord God, is there something where you, now that you're done with it, now that you walk through it, is there something where you feel like, oh no, I forgot about that?
I mean, I don't usually put a grid directly on mine as part of the like drawed assets. I'm still in the shell shock moment of having gone through the last 3 hours. So I don't. I mean, right aside from not having separated my place of great power and place of worship, which was a conscious choice, but I guess if the dice rolls had come in a different order, I might have had those as separate places. But I think it just was too convenient to to not take advantage of what I'd already made.
Let's be real here. I'm throwing stones for my glass house, where it's my place of power and constant battle.
Right.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
No, guys. Sorry, Guy. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say congratulations to both of you. I think you've both
Yes.
done great work in a mere 3 hours. And it was a tough kind of brief. That aquatic creatures and the facility and the island, I think, made it tough. If it had been like a cave for aquatic creatures, I think we would have seen something very, very different. But you hit it on the head, Incubus, when you're like, what are aquatic creatures doing on an island? So yeah, I think really, really, really tough. Chat is divided. Oh, we like this one, we like that one, we like this one, we like that one. Chat will, and the viewers ultimately will get to vote on both of these maps. And
Exactly. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to collect both maps. I'm going to create beautiful export render images of them, and I will put them up until Tuesday, which is when the official voting will start. So beginning on Tuesday, you will find on the website, you will find the map from both from Lord God and Incubus in beautiful rendered states, as well as, of course, the links to clone the maps and look at the details and look at what they did in there. And then we will open voting, and you can vote on your winner. You can decide who, in your opinion, is the winner of the Map Battle Madness. Is it the acting champion who can keep the crown on the head, or is it the new challenger who is now taking the lead and becoming the new Fogmaster? The voting will stay open until November 28th, which is when our regular mapping it out takes place. And there we will also have Lord God and Incubus as guests. And we will announce the winners live on stream in Mapping It Out. So then we will all know who is actually the new Fogmaster 2023. So that's what's happening, so that you know what's coming next. I'm super proud of you boys. It was so relaxing watching you doing the maps. It was such a chill. Not having to do that myself, I'm very glad about it. No, you did an amazing job. I love both concepts. I'm super impressed by the combination of the aquatic creatures that have to dive up to use a forge overland in a fantasy setting, as well as the aquatic creatures who use the facility as their secret evil lair to actually kind of process humans who are being kind of lured to that island. So, and a modern map. So very interesting. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
pleasure.
chat is divided. Chat's got some interesting ideas. Maybe Talon Amber Eye is setting themselves up to be the next challenger of whomever succeeds.
Yeah, that's
Talon
true.
has entered a paragraph of what they would have done.
Ooh.
Of course, it's always easy to look in retrospect, perhaps, but who knows? Maybe they'll be the next challenger. Anyway, once we have crowned a new king, or continue to hail the current king, we will start looking for the next challenger, I guess, for 2024.
Yeah.
It could be you. All right, then. So from all of us, it just
Yes.
remains to say thank you for watching, for
Also,
chatting, for talking.
I think I haven't said it, but Guy, thank you very much for joining me again, being a host in such a long and fun stream. It is always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And I'm super grateful for you being here. And
My
yes.
pleasure. My pleasure. So until the next live stream, which will be mapping it out behind the scenes at the end of the month, all that remains to be said is...
Happy map making, guys.
Goodbye.